Welcome back to the Steep Stuff Podcast. I'm your host, James Lariello, and I'm so excited to finally bring you guys a breakdown episode. This is going to be a race preview for the vertical, the mountain classic, and the short trail for the World Mountain Running Championship that's going to be taking place starting tomorrow, the 25th of September, and running through the weekend on the 28th, kicking off with the vertical, as well as the subsequently followed by the long trail, short trail, and finally capped off with the Mountain Classic that's going to be taking place on Sunday. I'm joined by co-host Robert Prosser. You guys might recognize that name from Substack and Instagram. Robert is a local Colorado Springs-based Substack writer as well as podcast host where he runs a Substack called Rob Runs Round, and he frequently comments and commentates and discusses and talks about free trail fantasy picks, as well as provides his own race preview episodes. He's an absolute brain, has extremely good recall on a lot of these athletes. So I think there's going to be a ton of value for you guys looking to lock in your free trail fantasy picks. I'm super excited about this. And it's just exciting to get to spend some time with Rob, talk to him about what he thinks as far as the winners and picks are going to go for the World Mountain Running Championship. It's kind of funny how we kind of lean back and forth where I'm a little bit more on the American rah-rah side and Rob is a little bit more data-based. So we provide some good balance there as far as our selections and picks. I think there's some good banter back and forth. And just like I said, hopefully a lot of value. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this one. We do start and kind of bounce around. This is a preview episode, like I said, for all three sub-ultra categories, which is going to be the vertical, the mountain classic, and the short trail. Guys, enjoy this one. I really appreciate you tuning in, and thanks so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Robert Prosser, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
It's going good, and happy to be here, and grateful you invited me. So I'm excited to talk about Worlds today.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited to be able to do this. You're a local in the Springs now, and you and I bumping into one another on the trail. I had no idea you were doing media stuff, and I was like, oh well, this could be a perfect opportunity to talk about Worlds, have a conversation around it, and it's a huge week, probably one of the biggest weeks of our sport so far. So. Yeah, dude, maybe tell the audience a little bit about yourself and like your background and your Substack and the stuff you're working on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a cool coincidence. I've known that we were both in the Springs, and I think just scheduling wise, then also me being gone a lot of this year for military stuff, and it kind of just worked out that we ran into each other when we did. And then, kind of been running pretty much for this whole year, I've been doing a podcast on Substack. For anyone that's a big fantasy free trail fan and likes to make picks on fantasy free trail, I pretty much break down all the races that are going to go on there. I kind of make picks for top 5 or top 10, depending on how deep they're going. And then just talk about each of the runners in there, and kind of same goal as your podcast, to build fans within the sport, to get people excited and kind of to get people interested in the individual stories of each runner. And so, that's on Substack at Rob Runs Round. And yeah, it's just kind of a cool coincidence that we happen to run into each other. And I'm very excited because I think that as we talk about Worlds today, we'll see that this is probably the best, almost definitely the best Worlds from all the countries we've ever had. So that's like pretty exciting as well. So.
It is deep, man. It is so deep. Yeah, dude, one of the things I really enjoyed, and I just got to give you your kudos, like the Matterhorn Ultrax Extreme episode. I was like, oh man, it's a great race. And it's a great race that like only like the Euros follow. Like it's not talked about a lot in America. Like I've had a lot of teammates of mine run it. And just like I personally wanted to do that race for a long time, and it's just so epic. So that one, the series and all one, like there's a lot of value there. So keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Yeah, Ultra K's actually, I almost raced that this year, and I was really, really tempted to. And yeah, I totally agree. I think I really like European trail racing, and I feel like every country in Europe kind of has its own like mountain culture. And I try to not be like the unknowledgeable American that like only knows US trail runners. Like we have a lot of amazing trail runners, but I also like really like European trail runners. And I think that when we talk about these worlds teams, like when I talk about some of the Spaniards and the French guys, like you'll see that, yeah, there's some really cool guys abroad. And sometimes on the Western audience, we don't really get to highlight them as much, or we don't know them as much if they don't speak English as much. So I definitely try to focus on that. And Ultra K is an epic race. And now that you mentioned that too, actually, if anyone wants to see like the most beautiful video ever, if you go to the Sky Running World Series page and you look at the Manuel Marias, who we're going to talk about on our preview here soon, if you look at his downhill from the Ultra K race, it's just like, it's like poetry in motion. It's one of my favorite things. So, yeah, there's some really beautiful races out there. So
For sure. And you just got back from Austria, correct?
Yep, just got back from Austria. I originally was going to race the Adidas Terex race that was over there, and we had a scheduling conflict where I had to come back a week earlier. So I ended up doing a race and just the next valley over from Badgestein. I did a race in a town called Grossarl, and yeah, it was just like a cool 50K, pretty mountainous race about 2 hours south of Salzburg. So it was cool. That was fun. And then also just got back Slovakia, the Tatra Mountains that are right on the Polish and Slovakian border. That was probably the coolest thing I did on the trip. The Tatra Mountains are really, really sick. And I think they're kind of in that category of the Pyrenees where people don't get like the hype that Mont Blanc and maybe like the Swiss Alps and stuff like that get. But the Tatras, they're not as high elevation wise. They're only like 8,000 feet ish. But the peaks are like super sick. So really cool place.
Technical too, like the Tatra Sky Race. And there's like quite a few, like, I mean, I think Golden Trail was supposed to had a race last year. They got canceled there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area. All right, let's get into it. Could dive into worlds happening this week, September the 25th through the 28th. This is the World Mountain and Trail Running Championship taking place in Canfranc, Pyrenees. Did you look at all at the weather?
I have not yet. I have not specifically yet, but I've heard other people talking about it. Yeah, so we can even look at it right now. I'll pull it up as you're saying.
As you're looking it up, one of the things I'm going to talk about is what's really interesting about this race is I think in a lot of ways the scoring as well as the overall system that it is. There's obviously going to be overall medals for the top three, but there's also going to be medals for the team system, almost kind of like a cross-country race where the teams are ranked based off points, which is pretty cool as far as place and time. Yeah. I don't know. What do you got seeing over there for Canfranc?
Pyrenees. So right now the weather is looking pretty good. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if I'm doing my math correctly, that should be championship, or even Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the ranges are kind of from 60 and the highs to 34 and the lows, and it's not really showing much precipitation. So it seems like it'll be cool and clear as of right now, but obviously that could change. And I imagine the longer the course is, the more variable the weather is. But right now it looks pretty nice considering the weather, not too hot, not too cold. So it seems like they probably timed it well weather-wise. So.
Sweet. It's such a cool area. I don't know if you saw Jasmine Lowther's Instagram story recently. She went to jump over a log, and it's a wild course, dude. She went to jump over a log and there was a wild boar hanging underneath of it, and she scared it and it ran off, and I was like, oh man, I just talked to her about this, and it's kind of a crazy story, but yeah, it's a very wild course. There's wild animals on it. There's cows, watch out for them. Wild boars. I don't know if there's bears in the area. I know Europe has areas with lots of bears, but yeah, just a very wild and out there course. Let's talk about the distances. Maybe we start with Thursday the 25th. That's going to be the uphill, the vertical race. That's going to be about 6.4 kilometers with about 990 meters of climbing. So that's about 3,280 feet. So perfect VK. The Mountain Classic is going to take place on Sunday the 28th. That's a 14K race, 14.3K. So it's 8.8 miles with about 775 meters or 2,542 feet of vertical. Short trail, that's going to be 45K or 27.6 miles. which is about 3,657 meters of climbing. So that's about 12,000 feet. That's so crazy that like the short trail course, I think, is, in my opinion, from the people I've talked to, it just like kind of sticks out to me as like one of the more gnarly bang for your bucks. For 27 miles, you're getting 12,000 feet of vertical is bananas. And then there's a long trail, 82K, which we're not going to be previewing today. We're only going to be previewing the uphill, the classic, and the short trail. But the long trail, just for stats, 82K, 50 miles, and 17,759 feet, which equates to about 5,413 meters of vertical gain, which is bananas as well. So, yeah, what sticks out to you about some of these courses?
I think the most noticeable thing in my mind, that especially we don't really experience this in the States, or if we do, it's not as frequent. Looking at the short trail course, I'm looking at the very first climb, and I can't see what the starting elevation, but it's probably like a 4, 5, maybe even 6,000 foot climb, and then they'll often have like 4, 5, 6,000 foot descents. Last year I did a race in the Pyrenees, not in Canfranc, but a little bit more towards the Andorra border in a town called Rialp. And the thing that stuck out to me, I had a 6-mile descent with like 6,000 feet of descending. And we just don't have descents like that in the States, either that steep or just that prolonged. I mean, even if we're, out here in Colorado going down to 14, the most we're going to go down is like 4,000 or 5,000 feet, or even like Pikes Peak, it's spread out over, half marathon to get down. So we don't really have anything that's like that rugged or that steep. And so, looking at a short trail course, I'm just like, a lot of people are going to come out too hard in the first climb and descent and get pretty cooked and then not have legs for the next 2 big climbs. That's kind of the initial thing that stands out. And then, yeah, it's just super rugged. Like you said, I mean, it's really impressive how much vert they're fitting into such a short course. But I think that's exciting because it really opens up the course to not people that are just really fast. It really takes a lot of durability and also a lot of technique when you're descending to not blow out your quads in the first couple of descents. So
I couldn't agree more. I think if you're like more of a finesse runner and less of a technical runner, like I think your Manuel Moraleses of the world are going to have a lot of success. You're in, there's so many like technical based athletes, Luca Del Perro, that like stick out to me that I think will have success. But if you were just someone that, let's just say if you're not multidimensional and do not like running on really burly technical terrain, this is going to and if you're not mentally prepared for it, I think it's going to chew you up. It's funny you said something like as far as like not having it in the States, like this is such a first world problem, and I do love living in Colorado, but like this is where I do get envious of the Wasatch guys, because there are, I think, longer runnable climbs is something we don't have, and longer runnable like steep descending is something we also don't have in Colorado. I mean, we also have a lot of good things, but that said, it's funny you say that. Like I think we're almost, not to do a detriment, but we get a little bit less prepared in certain states where, yeah, like, I don't know, dude, you look around the springs, it's like, unless I'm running up Blodgett, which is 2,500 feet, or 2,500 feet of vertical, and you're not running the entire thing, you're hiking a good chunk of it as well. But that said, it's like, that's such a technical hard climb. It's like we lack that specific 2,000 to 3,000, maybe 4,000 foot climb that's runnable in a short distance. So yeah, going back to the other thing that stands out to me is the so the 2 courses that really interest me are both the uphill and the classic. So both of these courses have had races on them before. Unlike the actual short trail, the long trail, the mountain classic specifically had a race on it last year where it's this perfect 2-loop system. I'm very curious to see how guys are going to take it out on this, or they're just going to go for broke on the first loop, hang on for dear life on the second. That seems to be kind of the attitude I've gotten from athletes like Remy Leroux and others that are going to be racing the mountain classic. And then Christian Allen really gave me some good bait on the vertical, where it seems to be his type of course, very runnable, obviously steep, but lots of good footing, very runnable, less hiking in there. So it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of good play for the Americans on this, because a lot of the climbs are very runnable. And the descents are where we're going to find out. We're going to find out who's the most prepared for this type of race, because there's a lot of like very long techie switchbacks, a lot of long descents. Yeah, so that's kind of what I got there.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that it's cool. Like you said, Jasmine Lowther's video. I've been watching some Ruby Lundquist I follow, and a handful of others that are on the course right now. And yeah, it just looks gorgeous. And yeah, there was a race on it last year, and you're right that some of the courses overlap. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of insight into potential time ranges and also kind of where people made their moves as well.
Very true. All right, let's talk about, I do want to get into the American contingent just because we have, for this specifically, we do have a very large American following. I'm just going to name the names off on the uphill, the classic, and the short trail for both men and women. Starting off uphill for the women, the team members are Anna Gibson, Sydney Peterson, Hillary Allen, and Jessica Breu. Uphill for the men are going to be Cam Smith, Joseph Gray, GOAT, Christian Allen, and Tyler McCandless. For the Mountain Classic, Anna Gibson doubles back from the uphill to the Mountain Classic, as well as Allie Mack, Courtney Coppinger, and Lauren Gregory. Cam Smith as well is going to be doubling back from the uphill to the Mountain Classic, along with David Norris, Mason Copey, and Taylor Stack. And then the short trail team is going to be Grayson Murphy, Ruby Lindquist, Lindsay Allison, Helen Minnow Faulkner, Jane Mouse, and Tabor Hemming. And then the men's short trail team, which is crazy how stacked these teams are. David Sinclair, Eli Hemming, Michelino Sunseri, Seth Ruling, Noah Williams, and Max King. I do want to give a note for casuals or people that are just tuning in. Ryan Becker did have an injury at Speed Goat this year, and is going to be replaced by Max King, who has a ton of he's just got a ton of background. I mean, I think he's like the 2011 mountain running champion. I wrote this down somewhere. I don't know where it is. 2011 mountain running world champion from Albania, which is kind of a crazy place. Max brings decades of experience. It's kind of crazy. How many world's teams he's been on. So yeah, lots of, I think there's going to be a lot of good storylines around the Americans.
Yeah, I think Max also has the Masters steeplechase U.S. record, if I'm not mistaken. I think he just broke it last year. And yeah, he's been, if there's like a record for as many U.S. teams as possible, Joe Gray obviously has it, but Max King is probably second in line. So
it's right there.
Tons of experience.
It's interesting. What do you think about this? We have two of our like long-standing American men on this team. Max King and Joseph Gray are both, Joe is going to be 42 this year, and I think Max is already 43, 44.
Yeah, I think he is.
So I mean, I hate to say it, but like, being friends with Joe and knowing Joe, like I do wonder, like, is this it? Is this the last go for Worlds? I doubt it. Highly doubt it. I think Joe makes at least one or two more Worlds teams. But Max, 43, 44, this could be the last go for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. Every time I think he can't do it again, like every year he just still stays as fast. Like he's a really, really speedy and really, really durable athlete. And yeah, it kind of feels like Joe Gray and him might be like the Ludo Pomeroy of like the short trail world. But I think that long trail has some things that favor age and experience. And I think that it's really impressive that Max and Joe are still kind of running in more or less like the young man's game, where the short and like fast twitch muscle fibers are really, really important. But they're still like, I mean, they'll smoke any of us in a race any day. So yeah, it is really impressive, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I thought Joe, I'm not gonna say I doubted him, but I didn't know that he would be up there as well as he was at Broken Arrow. So it's really cool to see him targeting races and still like knocking it out of the park when he wants to. So
who did you have on that? I'm just so curious. Who did you have on that podium for Broken Arrow?
Broken Arrow, I'm pretty sure I did have Christian Allen. I mean, I feel like I had to have Killian Jornet, but I wasn't expecting the jet lag. And then I'm trying to think who else raced. I might have had. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't remember because now I'm trying to think to the field, and I just remember it kind of took me by surprise because Killian obviously didn't run a great race, having just got in from Europe. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I had Joe Gray on there, so I will admit that I was wrong for sure there. So
man, you heard it here first. No, I'm kidding.
No. Slacking on my part. So.
No, dude, it's funny. What if I were to tell you that like maybe it wasn't so much jet lag, maybe Killian blew himself up from what I've heard. That's just,
it's possible.
Just gonna put that one out there in the world. I don't know.
Fair.
He did have a great race at Western States. I'll give him that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a young man's game, and there's so like Christian is so talented now, and like you see guys like Taylor Stack coming up, and just so many really, really talented young men in the sport, and it's just getting crazier. So it's been fun to follow. All right, let's get into some storylines. I already said Max King is going to be replacing Ryan Becker. We love you, Ryan. Shout out to Ryan.
Spigo one was killer. He really looked awesome this year, so that's a bummer, but I hope he heals. And I know he's always had Achilles issues here and there, but yeah, he's really impressive, and it's really fun to follow him. So
Yeah, he's the man. Max, like I said, 2011 World Mountain Running Champion from Albania, is going to bring a ton of experience. Another storyline I have, I did throw out Joe in there, searching for his third World Championship and so it would be a second vertical championship. He was fifth in 2023. His two championships, one in the vertical and one was in the Mountain Classic. I believe one was 2019. I think the other one was 2016. Grayson Murphy is also going to be in this race, moving up in distance. She's going to be searching for her third world championship as well. This time she is in the marathon. She was a previous winner in the Mountain Classic back in 2023, and she was also a bronze medalist in the uphill in 2023.
Yeah, and I think it'll be cool. It's really impressive how versatile she is, and so that'd be pretty sweet if she could get medals in every category. Is something I was noticing with that, because she's already got, like you said, a gold uphill, bronze in the up down, and then maybe potentially a medal here in the short trail, and then maybe she just keeps moving her way up to the long trail stuff, because she's kind of doing longer and longer races. So that's a pretty cool versatility there.
Yeah, and you know, I really respect it. I like to see Grayson. You know, it's always interesting if you. I would say Grayson's a master. Like, it's always interesting to me, people that find mastery at a certain sport or whatever craft it is you do in life. And Grayson definitely has found mastery at a lot of things that she's done in the sport. And now is like, you know, by moving up in distance, there's a lot of unknowns there for her. And, you know, you see her throwing darts at the wall, racing 50Ks this year, Broken Arrow. And she took a shot at Speed Goat as well. And is definitely trying, you know, to figure things out and see, you know, the stuff she likes and the stuff she doesn't like. So I think it's really cool. I don't know. I admire that. And people that don't just do the same thing and expand out and try to do new stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and it's cool because we're seeing her get better at it each race. Because like you said, fifth at Broken Arrow, and then third. You could argue Speed Goat wasn't as deep, but she went under a very stout previous course record and just happened to be third because the other two females also knocked her out of the park. So yeah, I think she's getting better with every race, and I'm excited to see how she does short trail. So.
For sure. Dude, I think there's a lot of experience here too. I think I counted, not including U20 or junior teams, we've got 7 athletes between the 3 distances that are represented on Team USA. So you're looking at, you know, Sinclair, Noah, Max all have experience. Grayson, Joe, there's quite a few. But it's interesting to me as well for like new people, like Anna Gibson. This is her first go at Worlds, which is kind of crazy. And I don't think we really know how good Anna is yet. I don't think Anna really knows how good she is yet. It's going to be really interesting when she figures it out. Like, that is one person to me that I think like has potential, not just for a medal, but to like actually like win a couple of these races, like, or maybe multiple medals, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think she's our best shot for short and uphill. I think I have her at the top of my list for the US, and she is really talented. I think I first saw her in the rut in 2022. I think she did the 10K and potentially the VK as well, and won both. And she's just like insanely talented. I knew that, you know, like I didn't really know what DINAFIT was in 2022, but I knew that if somebody rocked up to a race in a DINAFIT outfit, that they were like probably pretty speedy, because it was like Cam Smith, her, and then I think also did Speed Goat that year, and it was like Adam Loomis and some other guys, and it was like, all right, whatever this brand is, like these people mean, like they mean some serious stuff in the mountain racing world. And yeah, she's insanely talented, insanely speedy, and she just seems really seasoned. Like she seems to be a very smart and like tactical runner. Doesn't make a lot of like kind of go out too hard mistakes. So I think she's looking really good for both races. So
yeah, no, I agree. It's crazy, man. Like I think she appears to be healthy now from all indications. Like everything seems to be firing on all cylinders, but she was like pretty, I don't want to say severely injured, but like injured pretty solidly before series and all. So it's with an ankle issue. So it's kind of crazy to think now that like if we get her back kind of at full, you know, like pretty much full gear, full gas, like it's going to be, you know, it should be a great race for her, I would hope. What do you think about Christian Allen? This is his first Worlds. Like, dude, I'm such a fan. It's like, he's an interesting character. Like, he's a very big presence in the sport. Like, what do you think about as far as what he represents, not just for the sport, but his potential?
I think that Wada is going to have to test his mullet, because I think it's an unfair competitive advantage because it gives him more lift when he's going uphill. So I think that's the first thing to keep in mind. I think he's definitely one of the most talented runners we've seen come to the sport. You know, from his background at first Weber State, and then I think he just started doing really good there, from my understanding, and then moved kind of up to BYU, which was like one of the premier track and field programs. But yeah, I think that he is probably our... You know, Joe Gray has the experience, but he's possibly our best uphiller, but Joe Gray having that extra experience factor kind of makes it tough. I think he could really knock it out of the park, but his racing this year has been a little bit of a mixed bag with, I think he's had some like back tightening up issues. And then he's also tried his hand at some of the longer 50Ks, which he's still figuring out. We saw that in OCC last year when he came out and just like went from the gun,
So
balls
hard.
to the wall. And that strategy didn't pay off, but for us spectators back home, it's really fun to see somebody do that. And it's kind of like a learning curve. But he's obviously very, very good at this vertical stuff. And he really knocked it out of the park at Broken Arrow. So I think as long as he's kind of got solved whatever like was tightening up in his back on some of these races, because he's kind of been a little bit up and down this year. I definitely think he's probably our strongest uphill male if I had to guess out of that list.
For sure.
Especially with you saying it being a more runnable course too. If it was something a little bit steeper, more hike oriented, I might lean more towards Joe and Cam Smith. But if it's pretty runnable, like that's his bread and butter. So runnable, not for mortals, but for for the elites. So
it's going to be interesting. And this isn't me just like home cooking with Joe, but like Joe brings it, dude. Like he got fifth in 2023. He was right behind Patrick. Like he was like basically right in the mix the whole time. I don't know. Like it's going to be very interesting. I do think raw talent wise, Christian is the best shot. I think just with experience too. Like, I wonder how Joe mixes into this. Like, and I think Tyler's a great anchor, and I think Cam's a very consistent one as well. I think, I mean, I can't say other than Christian. I think that, like, I think Christian's got the best shot of an individual medal, but I think from a team perspective, this team has a good shot at getting, I think, a second place or a third, in my opinion, from a team perspective. One more thing I wrote down is Allie Mack, also in the race as well. Uphill world champion from 2022 in Chiang Mai, and she's going to be chasing her second world title as well. So many, like, a lot of conflicting storylines in here with just athletes on the American side that are former world champions that are going to be in the mix for this race.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I got some math questions for you. This is going to be an interesting one.
I like math.
Out of the three... we'll do this for men and women. Out of the three distances, uphill, classic, and then short course, what team do you think men and women have the highest UTMB indexes combined, average wise? This is a good one.
Oh, this is a good question. I didn't even think to look into that.
One thing I will say, Joe does not have a UTMB index, and that's something that's actually kind of funny, and I'll bring it up later.
So this is just for the uphill race we're talking about?
This is for uphill, classic, and short trail. Out of all three, which men and which female team do you think of the teams combined has the highest UTMB index?
Oh, that's tough. Kenya doesn't really have much of a short trail team, so that's going to make them...
I'm sorry, just for US. Just for US.
Oh, for the US. Mm-hmm. Oh, which one of those three? On the men's side? Women's side, both?
You could do either or. Yeah.
I feel like our men's short trail team has a pretty high UTMB index. So that's my guess for the men's. And then the women's, I feel like probably the classic would be my guess on the women's side.
Yeah, you got it. You got both of them.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Nice work, dude. Yeah, honestly.
I was just trying to think of like who was on each team, so it took a little longer. But I was like, I think that's at least like vibes wise. That's what the vibes give me. I don't know, like but yeah, how close? Yeah, how close was it? Was it pretty
spot on? Yeah, the average for our female classic team for the Americans, the average index is 752.5, and for the short trail, it's 885.6. It's really interesting because I just based off my picks and like just looking at the other, like comparing indices and looking at other athletes like in these conflicting races, it's like the women's classic team makes them like a lot of sense to me, but the men's short trail I actually don't have. Like I think I have them getting. I don't have an individual getting a medal. I have more of a team getting a medal when I look at it compared because the men's short trail is just so stacked this year.
Yeah, and I wonder if that still would have been the same answer if you computed that before some big CCC results from like David Sinclair and Eli Hemming as well. And Eli Hemming went to OCC last year. But yeah, I could see. Yeah, I agree. That sounds about right. It sounds right with the vibes. So it's
all very close though. I mean, like so the men's uphill, excluding Joe Gray, has 850 is an 854.76. The men's mountain classic is 872.25. It's crazy thinking about the men's mountain classic team because the person with the lowest index is actually Mason Copey, who I think has the chance outside Taylor Stack of doing the best on that team. It's just that Cirque Series races don't get counted in UTMB indexes, which is bullshit in my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing with Joe Gray, like Joe Gray not having a UTMB index, but like
so weird.
I'm sure his ETRA index is very, very high. And obviously they're kind of comparable. They're not exactly the same because they don't, I don't know how they get into the formula, but they don't perfectly match up. But it's like,
it's very similar.
Joe Gray not having a UTMB index is kind of stupid. So
it's so weird. It's so strange. All right, let's talk about, do you want to talk names and storylines internationally? I know you prepared pretty deeply for a lot of these. So
yeah. So storylines that I have for the men's side of the uphill, I put Patrick Kipinjano pull a MJ and go for a three-peat because he's going for his third uphill gold in a row. I put this Kenya. Last time at Worlds in 2023, they clean swept both the uphill and the classic distance on both the men's and the women's side. So that's another question too. Will they kind of have a clean sweep on the uphill and the classic like they did last time? And then another thing I said was, can Joe Gray add yet another medal to his already bursting at the seams medal cabinet? And then is our Swiss rocket Remy Benet back to Remy form? So that was on the men's side. And then on the women's side, most notable storylines. I put no returning champ Andrea Meyer, who's kind of like a VK goat. The year that she won Worlds, she won like every VK she did, I think -1. And they were all super competitive with tons of East Africans, tons of really good European runners. And then other things, we got a lot of returning top 10ers for the top 10 from 2023, Phalaris, Scout, Laura, and Christelle. And then last two things I put is Queen Maud Mathis back to Maud Mathis form. And can Scout Adkin continue her killer year in her WMRA, and then also can on a podium because I do think she has a very legitimate chance. So that's kind of what I had. And then I guess names. Do we want to talk men or women first? What do you?
Let's talk male names for the vertical. One of the names that really stood out to me, there's quite a few. I think the Canadians have a lot of depth, which is kind of surprising. I think people sleep on Alexander Ricard. He's one of the last people to beat Joseph Gray other than Christian Allen in an uphill race. He did it in 2023 on U.S. turf at the Son of Peace Scramble to get I guess it was for the selection race to go to Worlds where Alex did it. And Alex has been consistently like one of the best uphilling men on the planet, which is kind of crazy. Remy LaRue is also another one to watch. He's had I think he's raced 25 times this season so far.
That's impressive.
I know he's a little tired, but also like things have come around. I know he kind of battled back from like a small foot injury. Remy LaRue to me, and this is, I know other people have their thoughts, but like, to me, I think is a better mountain classic athlete just because of what I've been able to see him do on the mountain classic between ETC, races like Cirque Series Canon. Obviously, ETC is substantially more high octane than Cirque Series Canon, but he got a 5th place finish at ETC. And I think that was enough proving against the Europeans that Remy is truly one of the best mountain classic athletes in the world. Don't sleep on him in the vertical, though. I think he's an extremely good uphill runner. A couple other names that like jump out to me for the vertical men, obviously Jacob Adkin, Finlay Grant, another Great Britain athlete, Lucas Earl, whose name people might recognize from the Broken Arrow 23K, who's a German athlete, Andrea Ralston, who is an Italian. I believe he's also won the Broken Arrow Ascent before in the past when it was formerly the VK. Obviously, Patrick Kipinjano, this would be his third Kenyan. It is interesting to me, and I got to get your thoughts on this. This is the first Worlds, and I got to look to see if he's actually lining up. Obviously, he's on the list. Remy's kind of hit or miss, so I don't know, especially this season, kind of battling back from injury. You said he seems fit or appears fit on a Strava.
Yeah, he's been posting a lot on Instagram, too.
This is the first Worlds we've ever seen Remy in.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. And for somebody who has such like VK stature, going back into like this being the deepest world field, I feel like somebody like Remy coming to this Worlds kind of gives it like added legitimacy of like, hey, Worlds is a big deal now in trail running. And not only do, some events have been competitive here and there, but I really think that kind of goes to show like he's targeting it, taking it seriously. And he didn't get to race much in Golden Trail Series because he's been injured and coming back from injury, but I think that this is a good sign. And then with regards to some of the other names you mentioned, Lucas Earl is definitely somebody that I think everybody should keep on their radar. Super young German guy. He runs D1 collegiately. I think he went from Wingate to like NC State or some bigger program. I don't remember who.
Yeah.
But he is really, really good. Last year at the European Trail Champs, he was second in the Classic and third in the uphill. He won ETC last year, so that's the UTMB 50K. And then the year before that, he won YCC, which is the youth race for UTMB as well. And we also saw him go top 5 at Broken Arrow. And we've seen him run a lot of races with and stay up there with the East Africans and beat East African, like the Kenya runners and stuff like that. Totally agree. I think Alexander Ricard, not only did he beat Joe at the Sunapee, I think he also beat him, if I'm not mistaken. I was trying to look up the result, but I think he beat him at Mount Washington this year as well on the uphill. So, and kind of like edged him out right at the end. So definitely somebody, I do agree, he could be a sleeper pick. Like his results don't look as good on paper, but when you see him beat somebody like Joe Gray, especially at an event that he's won that many times, that's really impressive. Yes, I think Italians in the VK, Andrea Rosten is really good. There's a couple of Italians like Luca Merli, Andrea Rosten, and I think I had one other one written down. But the Italians race VKs a lot. They race WMRA events a lot. So they're really experienced in this kind of thing. And I think as a team, I have them getting a team medal because I think they will have, even if they don't necessarily have a medalist, I think they'll have a lot of people in that like 5 through 15 range. And then I'm trying to think if there's anyone else.
Ulid Trop. I don't know if I'm getting that last name right. He was 4th in the Mountain Classic in 2023. He's moving over to the vertical. So it should be fun to follow and see kind of what he's able to do, if he's able to make moves as far as the vertical goes versus the up down or Mountain Classic, if you will.
Yeah. So the one thing we got to look out for, and this happened, I still remember when I made my fantasy free trail picks in 2023, and I made all Western picks. And basically, if I'm looking at the results from the uphill last time, 1 through 5, everyone was Kenya or Uganda except for Joe Gray. So, and then there is a Kenya also. Philemon was 7th. So it was Patrick Kipinjano, Levi Kiprodich, Josephat Kiprodich, Eliud Cherub, who you just mentioned, Joseph Gray, and then a handful of others. So that's definitely something to look out for. I definitely think that we're going to see probably at least 2 Kenyans and at least 1 or 2 Ugandans. For the Ugandan guys, like you said, Eliud Cherub is kind of the experience pick because he got 4th at Worlds in 2023. But a sleeper pick that people should look out for is Isaac Kibet. If I'm looking at the right Isaac Kibet on World Athletics, he ran a 1 hour and 20-second half marathon in 2021. So that's
fit. That's
what, 4:34 pace.
What's his 10K time?
That was 2021. So that was a couple years ago. But last year he ran a 2:17, which is honestly kind of slow for that time. But he also ran a half in 1:01:36 last year. So a little bit slower. I didn't have his 10K results written down. So, but yeah, I mean, a half marathon time like that. I do agree like 5K, 10K is a little bit more applicable, but I'm just like, if you're running an hour half marathon, that's filthy. So
disgusting.
So yeah. And then another one I had written down was Samuel Simba Churup. His middle name is Simba. That's pretty sick. He's a 13:29 5K guy on the roads, 13:46 on the track, and then he had 28:02 10K. He's only 19 years old, but I definitely think he would be somebody to watch as well. It's kind of a mix because a lot of these guys will have the leg speed. But I think if what you're saying about the course where it's more quote unquote runnable, like the less hike oriented it is, the more it kind of favors not only Christian Allens, but also like these guys coming from Uganda. And I still think, Patrick is like, 2 golds in a row, and he really hasn't lost an uphill race in, let's see, reigning world champ, on one of the best climbers, if not the best. He's got back-to-back golds. He just, I'm pretty sure from what I could tell, broke the course record at Red Bull Dolomitan, which is like an uphill, and so that means he's really fit. He ran even faster than when he won his 2023 gold. He hasn't raced as much in the WMRA, so like the vertical type races this year, because I think he's focused on winning Golden Trail a lot. But we just haven't seen him lose an uphill race in like a long time. So I think it's his race to lose, in my opinion. So
I would agree with that. I think that's all right. Let's move on to the women. I think that's a good spot too. A couple of the names that I threw out there that more interested me more than anything. There's a few Canadians that kind of popped out that I was kind of surprised with. One being Emma Clark and 2 being Jade Belsberg. I think Jade on the North American scene has had a lot of success at races like the Broken Arrow Ascent and VK, things like that. Whereas Emma Cook Clark has traditionally been more known as a more skyrunning type of athlete, but has mixed it up even in the Golden Trail Series. This is the first vertical race I've seen her in. So that, kind of makes me wonder, like, that would be kind of cool. A couple other names that stick out for me: Fularis Kasang, second place in 2023. Laura Hottentrott with the last name. That's the best last name I've actually ever heard on the podcast. Laura Hottentrott, German athlete, was fourth in 2023 as well, as back in this race. Another one who has lived stateside but is an Australian friend of the podcast is Laura Hamilton, who's had some success at Worlds back in 2023 as well in the vertical. That's all I had written down for the women. Any women specifically for you that stick out?
Yeah, I got a couple to add to the list. I think Laura, I think it's hot and rot, but I like hot and trot better. So I definitely,
I literally wrote trot, TROT. So I wonder if
it might have like autocorrected. I think it's hot and rot, but yeah, I definitely have everyone that you had mentioned, and then other ones to point out. I would say Maud Mathis is on right now, I think, for both the short trail and the uphill. So Maud from Switzerland, pretty much. Yeah, so she pretty much owned the Golden Trail World Series until about 2 years ago, and she's been kind of on an injury cycle the past 2 years, but everything about her racing so far, her third place at Sears and all, makes it look like she's very much back. She had some mediocre results in the Euro Champs last year, but it was mainly she was still coming back from her injury. So other one, Scout Adkin, I mentioned her a little bit earlier. She's a UK runner.
Yep.
Super good at these WMRA type events. And then a couple other names to keep an eye out for: Christelle DeWall, French VK specialist; Susanna Sapunki, Finnish runner who does a lot of WMRA. One that I would really highlight, I think Germans on both sides. So we had Luca Early on the men's side. Nina Engelhardt is somebody who we want to look out for. She was the Euro VK champ for the women's race last year and beat out a lot of people that are in this field, at least from Europe. And she has beat out a lot of the Kenyans as well. And then three more names, I'd say Araya Liachi, Swiss runner, top 5 at Sierras and all, I think 2 years in a row. And then Nelly Clement is somebody who I was not familiar with until doing research for this podcast, but everything I'm seeing with her makes her look like a really good pick for a VK top 10. And then Marie Neve, we've seen her a couple times at Golden Trail World Series, multiple top 6, top 7s in these Golden Trail Series this year. So that's kind of the rest of the names I was looking at. Yeah, I think that...
Let's talk Maud.
Yeah, let's talk Maud. Yeah, please.
I do want to ask you about Maud. And the only reason I say this is so I think of Maud, I actually, and I think the splits kind of prove this, I think Maud's a better descender than she is uphiller. So that was kind of had me questioning, not questioning, but more so I put more of a question mark around. Like, for instance, like Maud in her years that she's won, let's say Pikes Peak and set the record, she owns the female marathon record, she's won that race on the descent, not necessarily the uphill. So I'd be very curious to see what she could do in a potential uphill race like this and where she kind of fits into the mix, especially with someone like Scout Atkin. And maybe you can provide some more. I didn't follow as much WRMA results this year.
Yeah.
What do you have for Scout Atkin? Because that's someone that stands out to me that has potential to win this race.
For sure. So yeah, so both on the Maud and the Scout thing. Maud, actually, I had to dig because I didn't recall this either, but she actually got third in the uphill in Worlds at Thailand, which I would agree is probably not as deep of a field as the 2023 one. I don't think she raced the uphill in 2023. I think that was kind of the beginning of her injury. But I do agree. She's just a world-class trail runner, but I feel like when her and Judith Weider yo-yo, typically Judith takes the lead on descents and then Maud gets it back. And I think because it's more runnable, once again, getting back to that, I think if this is more of a hiking-oriented course, it'd favor her more. It might be a little bit less the ball in her court with a little bit more runnable. And I thought kind of the same thing as you, but I was like, oh, she got third in Worlds at Thailand. So obviously she just doesn't tend to race a lot of just uphill, but she has some good uphill results, and she often passes people on climb. Scout Adkin wise, so yeah, first in the WMRA standings points wise. It's kind of a pay to play. So the more events you do, the more points you get, but she has had really consistently good results. And I like WMRA events, especially for these uphill and classic distances, because that's where you're going to see the deepest fields. Cause that's where you're going to see East Africans, Kenyans, not so much the Ugandans, but Kenyans are going to be running them. And there's going to be multiple Kenyans along with the best Italians and French people and stuff like that. So some of her results this year, so her kind of breakout on a lot of people's radar was a second place at Sierras and all last year. She also got second at the Euro Uphill Championships last year, only to Nina Engelhard. And then so far this year, she's got a win at Giro de Mont uphill, which is an Italian one, second at the French VK champs. And so throughout this podcast, you'll hear me say people got second at French VK, or like French and Italian VK champs. A lot of people go race them just because they're competitive. It's no different than like Jade Belsberg coming over here and racing our races because it's really competitive for like the qualifiers. But she got second at the French VK champs, which had Kenyans, it had Italians, it had French people. But basically it was just a really deep field. And then she also got second at Vertical in Asego. So I think she's a really strong pick for the top 10 and probably even in the top 5 because she just is a really smart racer and she races a lot of these VKs. So she's like very sharp when it comes to them as well. So
What do you think about Jade Belsberg? Where do you think she fits into this mix?
I think I like her best on up down more than just up, and I might be a little bit biased because she did race 2023 Worlds, and I think she was like 17 to 25 somewhere in the. I think she was in the 20s somewhere.
Okay.
So I think if there's a descent in the race, it really favors. That's where her strong suit comes in. So I don't think I have her as high on my list for pure uphill racing, but I think that she could do pretty good in the classic when you have a climb and a descent in it. So
interesting. And she's on the short trail team this year, so she's not going to be doing the classic. It's just the vertical. And see, I think she's an interesting character because she has so much range. You know, like talk about someone that's really, really talented, both on both ends of the spectrum. And
she could have raced like every race in the U.S. and I mean, she was. I think she was second to Eliza Morin for both the classic and the uphill at the Canadian VK champs last year. Yep. Eliza might be somebody to watch as well. She's had some good results. I think she just had a top 10 at Sierras and all. But it is really impressive that she can make every team in both Canada, and then she would have made the U.S. long trail team if she wanted to. So she is a really, really impressive athlete, and I'm excited to follow along. She's got a good Substack too. She's a good writer. So.
Yeah, her Substack is actually awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on let's talk about the Mountain Classic, and we'll start with the men. Obviously, as I already mentioned, Remy LaRue, he's going to be doing the Mountain Classic as well as the Vertical. Remy stands out to me. I think he's in my opinion, a far superior and has really developed into a more superior Mountain Classic athlete. I got some inside baseball from him on like how he plans to race the race, and I'm just very interested to see how this plays out because I think he's gotten maybe a little bit more aggressive with some of these races as time has gone on. I think he's 25 races deep into his season now, and I think that makes things a little more interesting. One of the things that stands out to me big time for him was a 5th place at ETC. I think he had no idea how competitive that race was going to be and got into it and was like, wow. Had a little bit of a harder time in races like maybe Series and all, and like the Plitz Alpine Glacier Trail. So he definitely seems to favor better in more of the Mountain Classic type of races. Had an injury at Sunapee, which was why we didn't see as much of a performance out of him, even though we still went top 10. But you're talking about someone that has the ability to completely win a race like that. Other names I'm looking out for. Obviously, we talked about Lucas Earl and Cesar Masteri. He's the Italian who was 2nd place at ETC this year. Timothy Kibet is also on the start list, along with Philemon, who 2nd place in 2023. Maybe the odds-on favorite to win this race this year with the champion not returning. And Bogdan Damian from Romania is also someone I had on the list to keep an eye on, as well as Jacob Apkin from Great Britain.
Yeah, I think agree with all that. Did you mention Taylor Stack?
Well, I didn't talk about Americans yet.
Okay, didn't talk about Americans.
Yeah.
I guess the last international name I would add, or maybe one or two others, I'd probably put Theodore Klein, top French runner at the French Classic Champs, which had a lot of Kenyans. He was the top French guy, even though he was only 5th, but it was a really deep field. So a lot of these guys that are racing here, he raced. And then only other international last 2 names, I'd say maybe Jan Torreya, young Spaniard, Solomon runner, and Xavier Chevrier, Italian runner, who also took a top 10 spot in the 2023 Classic. So
on the topic of Taylor Stack, what do you think?
I think that he actually might very well be our highest finisher for the Classic. I've been really, really impressed with both of his races at Pete's Alpine Glacier, where he was in 2nd place for a lot of it and really just got outkicked on a road, like a flat runnable road section at the end. But he was right in the middle of essentially Kenyan sandwich. Like there was 2 Kenyan runners on either side. So to be able to run up front with some of these really good like Milmani runners and the other running groups that come from Kenya, I was really, really impressed by that. And then I was also really impressed. I mean, his Sears and All debut, 12th place, just outside the top 10, but really ran a smart race. It's hard to knock Sears and All out of the park right away. And I thought that was really impressive. I wasn't surprised that he was our top American. I thought I know if Christian Allen has a good day, he can also go top 10. But I think he kind of had the back issue or something that pushed him back towards like 20th. But yeah, I've been really, really impressed with Taylor Stack, and I think he is probably the best bet. I do agree Mason Copey looks really, really good this year. And they both looked really good at Broken Arrow. I think they finished back to back in like 6th and 7th. But I think that Taylor having the experience racing against some of these East African guys in a type of race that's similar to this, I think that really, really helps, because these guys are going to be fast, and it's definitely a different type of racing when a lot of these Kenyan guys have been running WMRA events. So they're kind of really familiar with like what this format's going to be like. And I think that because Taylor Stack did so well at Pete's Alpine Glacier and has raced some of these guys, it'll be good. So
I think Taylor's definitely having a year. What do you think about, and this is out of pure curiosity, what do you think about David Norris? Like, what do you think he ends up in the mix?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not going to lie. I was really, really surprised when he won Sunapee, not because I don't think he's an amazing athlete, but just because I was like, I don't know. I know he's got Mount Marathon figured out, and his times in Mount Marathon are insane. I ran Mount Marathon, not the race, but I just ran the mountain like last year when I went to Alaska, and just like trying to fathom the times that he puts down on that course are insane. What I was really surprised with Davis is that, or with David Norris, is that he didn't. I was surprised that in Sunapee he took the lead on the second climb coming out. Yeah, like I figured if he was going to win, he was going to be in the front, but I just didn't see him. I didn't see him being as fast as like, Mason Copey and Taylor Stack, who are both super speedy guys, and then Cam's really an amazing climber. I was really, really impressed, honestly. And I mean, I guess we had seen glimpses of it because he did what did he do? He did like 2nd or 3rd at Cirque Series, I think, between like Patrick and Philemon. So
yeah, that's the race I was going to bring up. We'll get into that after.
Okay. Yeah. So like I was actually really surprised, and I'm really curious. I think he could totally burst my bubble and prove me totally wrong, and he could be the top finishing American. And then yeah, it was cool to see him figure out OCC. He hadn't really figured out, I don't know if his nutrition or pacing in longer ultras, he hadn't really hit his potential in his VDK, but it was cool to see him go top 10 at OCC this year. I think he finally kind of is dialing it in on the ultra distances, but yeah, he very well could be the top finishing American male. So
it's interesting. So it's funny, man. Like I think a lot of people are going to look at Philemon and think being the Series and All champion are going to be thinking like, okay, this is going to be the odds-on guy to beat this race. Dude, I was in Cirque Series Brighton last year, and I first-handedly watched him beat Philemon. And like I've watched Philemon struggle in certain races and be hit or miss. I just don't know. Like, I know Series and All is an A race you're going to peak for, right? Is Worlds also, can you try and peak for that? I don't know. So I do throw a lot of question marks in there. I do think Philemon's definitely going to be in the top 5 easily, probably the top 3. But I don't know. I don't think he's as unbeatable as someone like a Patrick, maybe on the ascent, right?
I would agree. I think that we're seeing last year Philemon was like perennially the bridesmaid. He had so many second places, and I don't think he won. I think if you look at his WMRA, I don't think he won a single race, and I think he had like 10 second places, and these are all super deep, whether it was Sears and All or whether it was whatever. And I kind of think this year we're seeing a little bit of a different Philemon, where he finally got a win early on in the season. I don't remember what his first Golden Trail win was, but he's kind of carried that on with the Sears and All win. And I kind of think we're seeing like more of a little bit more dialed Philemon. I think last year his confidence was a little bit shook because he was getting so close to wins. 2 seconds at Sears and All, 2 seconds at Headlands or whatever. Like he was always like 1 second off of a win. And this year I feel like is a little bit different. So I do agree. Definitely in the podium mix, probably a favorite. Like you said, silver medalist coming out of 2023 Worlds. And I think that he's not a pure uphill guy. If you look at his WMRA stuff, he doesn't do as well in the uphill, but where he really shines is his up-down stuff. So I think this is kind of his race to lose, but there are a lot of guys that are going to challenge him. There's a lot of good Kenyans in this race too. I think that they're going to be, I think it's going to be really tough to beat Kenya for the team gold in this event. So
it's going to be interesting. Like I definitely... I do think America is going to show up. Like, I think we've always been in previous iterations and previous times. Like, I think these, and just even talking to the athletes, man, like so many of our American contingent are just really eager to prove that like American trail running is not to be slept on. So that gets me hyped. Also puts little chills on my, like makes my hair stand up a little bit, gets me all excited. So I don't know. We're gonna find out. Let's talk about the women in the Mountain Classic.
Okay.
So some names that stick out to me: Julia Font from Spain. I think Spain just got a force, dude, between the short trail and the Mountain Classic. It's going to be fun to follow. Dalia Alonso as well from Spain. As well as Julia Long, France. She was 4th at ETC. Marie Nivette, another one, 7th at ETC. She was French. Joyce Mutani, obviously a Kenyan. Scott Outkin from Great Britain is going to be in this race. Alice Gaggi. Laura Hamilton as well as another one from Australia. And I told you Julia Font as well. And I got one more. 4th place from 2023, Valentine Rudo as well from Kenya. So the Kenyans are also very well represented in the Women's Mountain Classic. This is going to be, I think, the best squad we're bringing is going to be the USA contingent of the Women's Mountain Classic. But this is not going to be an easy race to win. But to get golden, it's going to be very difficult.
No, I think Kenya is going to be really good. Joyce is weird. That's the same Joyce that wins a lot of Golden Trail series. Sometimes they put her as Muthoni. Sometimes they put her as Najeru. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced, but
Naru. Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of like interchangeable. Also Glory Chabet, who I think she was not in the top 10. But also another really good Kenyan runner. And then, a lot of the people doubling back from the VK. So Eliza Morin on the Canadian side. Who else did we say? Susanna Sapunki again, and then Nelly Clement, the French one, who I think is definitely somebody to look out for. And I think that's about the only other name I'd add internationally is Martina Malarnchik, who just won CCC, but really has a lot of like speed. I didn't see a lot of results for her on VK stuff, but I'm really curious to see how she kind of mixes it up coming off of a win at CCC. So that'll be kind of exciting to see as well. So
it's interesting. We've seen a lot of these athletes race at UTMB weekend, and there's a good amount of them that did mix it up between OCC and CCC. I just wonder, especially more so for your Eli's, your David Sinclairs, your CCC athletes that mixed it up and then go to some of these longer distances, maybe like a short trail or something. Like, what is that recovery like? Like, it's got to be really difficult to bring it around and feel 100%. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. When we get to the short trail preview, I will definitely be harping on that. And I think that we, probably have two of the best, if not like the two best 50K trail runners in the world with David and Eli. But I got to think that like CCC is going to not make one of them as sharp, and that even though we probably do have the two best, we either might not get the medal or one of those two is not going to score points, which would be like the top 3 finishers for us. I definitely have my reservations. But I am excited to see. And I mean, a classic race should hopefully only be like an hour and a half. So maybe she's even smarter than David and Eli because she's only going to be out here for, an hour and change, if that. So
it's true. All right, let's get into short trail. I'll let you take it away. I do find it really interesting, though. One point I'll make as we get into it for the men. Like, the entire men's podium is back in this race this year between Stian, Thomas Roach, and Luca Del Perro, all returning from 2023.
Yes, that is very exciting. This is the only one I don't have the results from 2023, but you're totally right. The big storylines I highlighted on the men, I was like, holy crap, there's too many to talk about. There's 211 dudes on Fantasy Free Trail that are registered for the short trail. But storylines, stacked field with all the usual suspects who tend to crush at both OCC and Golden Trail series. So I think the short trail is kind of a cool mix up where we're going to see the guys who are really good at UTMB 50Ks, really good at Golden Trail series. And then even the third category we talked about, Skyrunning World Series, which a lot of times the US audiences don't know as well because we don't have the US Skyrunner race anymore. But I think a course like Canfranc is really going to favor guys that are really good at skyrunning. So I'm going to talk a lot about skyrunning results. One thing you already kind of touched on, one of the big question marks I have is, does CCC hurt USA's chance of medaling in both the team and the individual results? And I think the answer for me is yes. And then I think that on the women's side, I put, does France's no racing UTMB policy result in another team and individual gold? Because last time they won the team event as well, and they won the short women's individual gold. And then I put Spain's teams deeper than the Mariana Trench on the women's side, so I'm really impressed with them. I put Switzerland maybe neutral, but the team they're sending means war. And then I put, does U.S. have the depth to compete with France, Spain, and Switzerland, especially without Jen Lichter? And then can Grayson medal in another World Mountain Trail Classic discipline? So,
dude, the Swiss team for the short trail and the women is like Therese Lebeau, Maud Mathis, Judith Wider, like. It's deep, dude. Yep. I mean, Spain as well. Like it's yeah.
And they medaled last time too. They were, before I quote, they had the silver for team competition for the short trail.
That makes sense.
Behind France. So
yeah. All right. Let me get into some names really quick, and then we'll kind of, because I really want to get into the discussion on like Manuel, Antonio Martinez, and others like that. Just some names that I have off the top of my head. Shout out to Boulderite, North Face athlete, Johnny Luna Lima, who's going to be competing on behalf of Brazil. Sam Hendry, a Canadian, who's going to be in this race. Dude, it was so funny. I don't know if you watched the live coverage for OCC, but they didn't really know who Sam Hendry was. And I was like, oh, y'all must have forgot. Like,
yeah, they were sleeping on Canada. I was thinking the same thing. He's really impressive. I saw him race speed goat last year, and I actually got to spectate. I was out on the course, and I was talking to just a group of people are on the course, and they're like, oh yeah, we're expecting our son. I was like, oh, where are you guys from? They're like, oh, we're from Canada. I think he's from Canmore, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. They're like, yeah, our son should be here. And then after like talking to them for about 10 minutes, I was like, wait, is your son Sam Hendry? And they're like, yeah, that's our son. And I was like, yeah, your son's a badass. Like he's probably going to be here in no time. So yeah, he got second speed goat that year. That was the year of the Nordic skiers where David Sinclair set course record. Sam got second, and then Scott Patterson, who's Alaskan,
another killer.
Yeah. Shredder, who had won every race in Alaska. And I didn't know about him until I went up to Alaska, but then I saw his name on every segment in Alaska. And yeah, he crushed Spigo. But yeah, it was funny because he is really, really good at climbing, and he also has lots of good leg speed, being a skier from skiing at University of Utah. So
yeah, interesting. He's in medical school now too, which is interesting as well. So I like to see him mixing it up and doing both. I know for a year there he was on the Solomon International team, and I guess trying to balance that, being an athlete at the highest level as well as medical school is probably not the easiest thing in the world to do. So
it's not a good balance. Yeah. I think he wanted to go in the States, but it just worked out better in Canada. And I think he might still be in Canmore, which from what everyone says, Canmore is like outdoor heaven out there. Yeah, so I've never been there. So it's
amazing. Yeah, dude, you got to, I don't know if you've ever put it on your radar, but Meet the Minotaur.
Yeah,
it's definitely such a sick race.
It's hard to get to in my mind. I'm making excuses now, but yeah, I would love to do Meet the Minotaur. It definitely is like, it looks really sick. So
yeah. There's a couple other names that stick out to me. Josh Potvin, Canadian. Probably he had some good finishes this year, both at Speed Goat as well as he was the champion of the Gorge Waterfall 50K, beating out Liam Myro, who is one of the extremely well-known sub-ultra athlete in the space. Alexander Ricard, what do you think about Alex in a short trail type of race? Like, I've always known Alex, as I think the audience does, for being just like one of the best uphillers pretty much on the planet. I've never seen him do like super long stuff like this. So it's interesting to see him in the short trail kind of mix it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think. I don't see, like, none of his uphill results are really impressive, and I haven't seen enough of his like short trail results. I think he had some stuff in Canada, but I haven't seen a ton on. And this is like Euro biased, kind of the same way that, I don't know, if we see US people do good at US races, we expect them to do good in Euro races. So I'm excited to see him race against some of these European guys, because there's so much talent when it comes to the short trail. But yeah, who else were you thinking too, or who else do you have on your list?
Antonio Martinez, who's been just a perennial contender, both on the Skyrunner series as well as OCC year after year. I think this year was I think he was still top 10 at OCC, but his worst finish that he's had in a while. And I know he's been training with like Ben Demon, A6 perennial contender. In my opinion, like, I think Antonio has kind of all the tools to do really well at a race like this.
Yep.
Being on the Spain team. Another name that sticks out to me, one of the best downhillers on the planet, Manuel Morales. I'll let you take it away on him, but yeah, he sticks out to me big time.
Yeah, Manu Marias, I think, is really well known from the European audiences, but the US audiences don't know him as well. He's a Spanish guy. He runs for New Balance now, but he was a longtime Scarpa athlete, and he just is like one of my favorite people to watch. Go follow him on Instagram if you don't already. It should just be Manu, Manu, and then Marias, Merillas. But he is one of the best technical runners and definitely one of the most technical descenders. He's a previous winner of Zagama. He also has, I want to say, 7 top 10s there. And I think most of those are top 5s with the exception of like 1. So he's perennially one of the best runners at Zagama. I think he has a pretty big home field advantage too. He lives in not the Canfranc version of the Pyrenees, but he does live in the Pyrenees. And I think he was a mountain guide out there for a long time. So I got to believe that he has some of the best course familiarity long before this race ever came around, and then probably has been prepping a lot. He hasn't raced as much this year compared to previous years. After he was coming off an injury from a Pico de Europa race, which he's won 5, 6, 7 editions of. But he does have a couple top 5s at Skyrunner World Series races. And most recently, he did just go second at Ultra Ks, which is a very, very technical, like we talked about earlier. And like I mentioned earlier, him on the descent is like, it's poetry in motion. It's really, really pretty. So, and I think he was under the previous course record, but I forget it was William Bofelli, but somebody beat him. But they were both under the previous course record. Yeah, I think the Spaniards and the Italians you really have to watch out for. If anyone is Spanish or Italian, and if they're sponsored by Scarpa, they're probably somebody to look out for, because there's like a ton of Italian Skyrunners or Scarpa or wore Scarpa. And I totally agree. Antonio Martinez Perez, a disappointing quote unquote 8th place finish at OCC, but really that's only because he had 3 years in a row of top 3 finishes. And honestly, the course change didn't favor him this year. He would have made a lot of moves on the last descent, and then there wasn't a last descent. It was kind of just one big climb, one big descent, and then a lot of road running at the end. So it wasn't really his type of course with the change that they did last minute, because he would have gobbled up a lot of people on the last descent. Like even Jem, said that if there was the traditional course, he was like, Christian would have gobbled me up on the descent if we didn't have that road part at the end. So he really kind of, you got to race the course too, but it's like, it was a last minute change. So
yeah, interesting. All right. So a couple other names that stuck out to me. Some French athletes, Fred Trenchard, who's kind of a household name, both on the Skyrunner series and previously the Golden Trail series. Thomas Cardin, another French athlete. Christian Jones, who as well was one of, I'd say, more of a favorited athlete going into OCC. Very good technical runner. What do you think about Christian?
Yeah, Christian is definitely somebody I've highlighted, and I think he's continually gotten better year after year. I heard something on a podcast or something the other day. He's made so my notes. I think he's qualified for their cross-country worlds team for Great Britain. Also, a Great Britain orienteering team. I think he's got a couple orienteering world medals. He's run a 1:03 half marathon at the half marathon world champs, 13:45 5K, and he's got a 10K in the low 28s. But more impressively for this course, we saw him go 5th at OCC, but he was up there as high as 2nd, and just everyone was kind of going balls to the wall at the end, and he got mixed up. And ended up on the back half of that. And then he had a really, really solid win at Ultra Trail Snowdonia 50K, which everyone says is like insanely, it's that weird kind of UK technicality where it's like this tussocky, like grassy, like clumpy stuff. Yeah, it's like fell running that's really hard to prepare for. And I think like when I raced in the Pyrenees last year, there was a lot of weird, like very steep, not rocky, but like steep, grassy, kind of like Noli 12 to 1400 foot, like climb ascent per mile climbs. And so I think that he might have a pretty good job here. And then, yeah, other stuff. I'm pretty sure he's from Wales, so I think that suits a technical course. But he also has that nice mix of like crazy leg speed as well. And he also is a returning top 10 from 2023. He was 9th in the world short trail, and he's only gotten better since then. So I think that he could go top 10. He's also a good follow on Instagram. He's really transparent with his training. He might even have a Substack too, but either way, his training that he recaps on Instagram, he shows you like everything he does, all his workouts, everything. And I think that's cool from a transparency perspective. So
dude, amazing. All right. So, dude, there's so many names on this men's list. Luca Del Pero from Italy, Davide Magnini, who is the 2025 Marathon du Mont Blanc champion, was really looking forward to seeing him at OCC, but he pulled out due to an injury. I don't know if he's healthy and back. I would expect to see him on the start line for Italy. I did not see him pulled yet, so
I have some insight. Yeah, so Davide is like probably, if I'm most excited about Manu Dawood is probably like a pretty close second place. He's kind of like on that mod train where he was really dominant in the Golden Trail World Series. He's got multiple Marathon de Mont Blanc wins, including this year. But really in like the early kind of forming of the Golden Trail Series 2019, 2021, and even into 2022, he was one of those names up there with Remy who was like always finishing top. Super speedy Italian guy. He's a New Balance guy now, but I think he was a Solomon runner back then.
Yep.
But anyways, I was really, really excited to see his return to form because we've seen him win Giro de Mont this year and Marathon de Mont Blanc, which was still a very deep field, even though it wasn't Golden Trail because it had a lot of prize money. He didn't do CC or OCC, and I was concerned because his Strava kind of went dark, but he did just race a VK about a week ago. So that makes me think he's more so hiding more of his training because I don't think he's not done any running in the past 2 weeks and then just popped off on a VK with like a 5:05 gap or whatever. So I do think it is still a little bit up in the air if he starts, but if he starts, yeah, he's definitely somebody to watch, and just is a really, really talented guy. So
yeah. Other names I had, Daniel Pattis, another Italian. Dude, the Italians are so deep in this. Timothy Kibet, Kenyan. 2023 world champion Stian Ungerman is back in this race. Has had some success, but a little bit of a bumpy ride as far as races like Series and All goes. What do you think as far as Stian being back in the mix?
I think he's getting better with every race, and there's a lot of rust to bust off. I think it was pretty impressive. He went 9th at Zagama this year in a pretty deep field. I agree that Sears and All wasn't his best showing, but I also don't think that's a course that really suits him in the same way I don't really think it suits somebody like Elazine Elazawi. Like, I think that something like this suits Stian a lot more. I definitely think he has a strong shot at top 10. He's got tons of world experience. He would be in Patrick's situation if not for the doping negative test. But basically, he is essentially the defending champ of the last 2 short trails. And so I don't think we're going to see that sharp of a Stian where I'm not expecting him to go gold or really even medal at this point, but I do definitely think that he will. I think he has a strong chance at top 10. Yeah. And I agree with all those names. Also
Roberto De Lorenzi as well. Yeah. And Rui Ueda.
Yep. Yeah. Roberto, I'm big Roberto fan the same way you're talking about Remy LaRue racing 25 times this year. I think Roberto raced 30 something times. It was like every weekend. And I mean, obviously they weren't all ultras. Some of them were short, some of them are long, but it's really impressive how he kind of like uses races to get fit. And I mean, he talked about, I think he interviewed with Francesco Pupi, and he talked about like how his really 2 circled races were Sierras and All and were Marathon de Mont Blanc. And those were his 2 best results, 5th at Sierras and All and 3rd at Marathon de Mont Blanc. And that was on top of, he won the Skyrunning World Series last year and won multiple Skyrunning World Series events. And he also won he was top 10 in Golden Trail Series and had a ton of top 5, top 10s there. Super consistent. The only thing about De Lorenzi, he hasn't had the same year this year. He hasn't been on that kind of form. Last year, it was like, if I was picking Fantasy Free Trail, I was always going to put him in my top 10 for any race he did because he was that consistent. We haven't really seen the same Roberto this year, which is a bummer. I hope he kind of gets some redemption here and kind of comes back, but we haven't quite seen the same level of Roberto. In my mind, Roberto last year is Luca Del Pera this year. Luca Del Pera has been super consistent. He's been getting more and more fit. He's had top 5s at Zagama. He's had wins at Skyrunning World Series races. And he is really, really good at this type of technical stuff. And 3 other names international. Sylvain Cachard, French runner for Hoka, multiple top 10s at Sierras and All. And he was 3rd at Ultra Trail Snowdonia behind Christian Jones. So he's got some good finesse on the technical stuff. One that kind of came across my radar was Skyrunning World Series and then eventually with Sierras and All. Martin Nielsen, the Swedish runner for VJ. He went 6th at Sierras and All, which is really impressive. He's had a couple wins at some technical skyrunning stuff. Tatra Sky Marathon and Hope Koenig. He didn't do as good at Ultra K, so maybe but that's kind of a different level of technicality, so tough to say. And then the last 2 guys I'd say look out for, Thomas Roach, UK runner who lives in Austria, super good at technical stuff. He was 2nd in Worlds in 2023. He's one of those guys kind of like Max, where I think he's actually in the 45 to 49 category, but he still races really, really smart. And he helped UK take the team gold that year with John Albin and Chris Jones. And then last one, Andrew Blanes, Spanish teammate of Antonio Perez, also his training partner, winner of Sierras and All in 2023, and then 2nd at Zagama this year. And he went top 10 at Worlds, but in the classic race in 2023. So
the depth, dude, this is such a deep race. It's stupid. Like, yeah, Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the ones that like it's just impossible to predict. Like it's so hard to kind of figure it out. And it's weird too because we, from the American perspective, do have two of the best runners on the planet in this race, and it's hard to figure out. Okay, like how is that going to match up, and how is that going to stack up when it comes to CCC still in the legs? You know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because Eli, people have known about worldwide because he's raced Golden Trail Series, and last year he won OCC, so I don't think he's any stranger to the European crowd. But I kind of feel like David Sinclair was like our little, like best kept secret, where like if you did the races that he did, like the first year I really kind of got into trail running, I raced Speed Goat and Run the Rut. Both Speed Goat he won, and then Run the Rut he set the course record, broke Killian Jornet's record, and then we've seen him do the same thing at Broken Arrow. Some of those records have been broke. He still has the Speed Goat one. But basically, it's like he's won every Mountainous 50K, and he almost went to OCC, I want to say, in 2023. And I don't remember if he was injured or I think he was nursing an injury. But it's like he's kind of like our best kept secret. And so it was so exciting for him to go to CCC. It was so exciting for him to go knock it out of the park on his first try. And it feels like he would even do better at like, I feel like he would do just as good, if not better, at OCC. Maybe not this year's edition of it, but like the previous years. And so, I totally agree that Eli and David on any given day could both take a gold, but I really think that one of them will probably be affected by having CCC in their legs. And I think I would lean towards that being Eli, but it's tough to say because it sounds like he's been talking about how he's had some like thermal regulation issues because he kind of like overcooked himself at OCC last year because he got so hot. So the other thing I noticed was if the race was hot, that I'd be a little bit concerned. But based off the forecast we looked at, it doesn't look too bad. But he has talked about how he's had a hard time regulating temperatures since winning OCC last year because he just absolutely cooked himself.
That's nuts. If that's all right. So that reminds me, it's a completely different situation. But have you seen this issue that Germain has had with like not being able to use his legs, and it's like more of a neurological thing?
Yeah. And it's like very specifically like right as soon as like he'll be good for up to 6 hours of activity, and then as soon as he gets like 6 hours, I haven't seen the most recent stuff other than like Katie talking about being concerned about it in some of his posts, and he's always joking. It's funny, like, well, luckily he speaks English pretty well, so he can make the jokes in English, but it's always funny when you like translate French jokes, in Instagram to English, and you're like, that's true. Maybe we don't have the same humor, or something like that. But it seems like he's definitely keeping a good like head on his shoulders, but it's concerning. I mean, even if you're not even a elite athlete, even if you're just, like me and you like running in the mountains, it's like, that'd suck pretty bad if you could take away like not your one coping skill, but one of your biggest coping skills for getting through anything. So I hope they get that solved, and I hope he gets more answers, because right now it sounds like there's still a lot of question marks around like what's going on. So
crazy. It's you get these weird like things, man, like Eli not being able to like thermoregulate. Like what the hell is that? Like what did you cook in your body that like has led to this? Like, it's kind of nuts when you push a lever too far, and it's like you don't really know that you did that, and then you find out. It's like when you go over the spectrum, which is kind of nuts. So yeah, wild stuff. All right, let's get to women on the short trail, and then we gotta get to picks.
For sure.
All right, there's so many names on the women's short trail team. I'm just gonna throw out a few, and then you throw out what you got. I've got, first and foremost, the easiest ones: Sarah Alonso, repping Spain; Malin Osa, who's also on the Spanish team; Marta Martinez, who's also on the Spanish team; Clementine Joffrey, French athlete, 2023 champion at Worlds; Lucille Germain, French athlete; Naomi Lang from Great Britain's going to be here as well; Daniela Olmes from Germany, who was in the top 10 in 2023 as well; Caitlin Felder from New Zealand; and then the Swiss team: Therese Labeau, Maud Matthews, Judith Wider, and then we also can't leave out Tovia Alexanderson as well, who was second place at the Mountain Classic in 2023, who's also in this race. So the international depth between the men and women in this is nuts.
It is nuts. There's a ton, and I'm really excited. Last two international, I would say Ikram Marsala, too, also Spanish crusher, and then Adeline Martin as well. She's on the French team a lot. Yeah, this team is nuts. Going on the Tove ticket, I kind of forgot a little bit about her. If you watch the early Golden Trail episodes, especially the one in 2020, when they basically just like created a bubble for COVID on the Azores, and they did a stage race kind of concept with 4 of them. She appears a lot in that documentary version, and she's like gutsy, dude. Like she like races like all out and just like throws herself. Like she had some good results. I think she had a win in a second place in the 4 days, but she just basically raced every day like it was her last. I was looking at her Instagram because even though she has such a high UTMB index, I was a little bit surprised at how high it was. I was like, well, she hasn't raced in 2 years. So like, what's been going on with that? And so I went and looked at her Instagram, and from her Instagram, 21-time world champion orienteering. She got second. Yeah, we talked about second in the world's classic race in 2023. And she's really good at technical races. And in her past, she's won Le Mans Sky Race and Sky Racing Matheson. But the other thing too is that last year in skimo, she, from my understanding, placed gold in the individual skimo championships and silver in the vertical. So I got to think she's like got to be one of the most like fit people in this race overall when it comes to like aerobic abilities. The only thing I'm hesitant is like this is a pretty long race for somebody to not have raced, to have like a race result on ITRA or UTMB or WMRA for the last 2 years. But I got to think she's like one of the most fit people on the line. So I'm really excited to see her race. I think she could surprise a lot of people. But I almost would rather see her in like the classic again or the uphill, because you know that there's nothing really you have to worry about as somebody who just has like a huge aerobic engine but hasn't been running a lot. But yeah, it seems like she's still been doing a ton of orienteering this year, had a ton of good results. She's like a really gutsy person, so I bet she'll be out there with the lead pack. And I think maybe she, kind of like Zach Miller, either she goes big or she doesn't make it through the race, but I think she'll be like up there pushing really early. So
Goes big or blows up.
Yeah, goes big or blows up. But that's what we like to see as fans. Clementine Joffrey, she took me by surprise in 2023 when she won, but she's basically just hit home runs since then. She also won the Euro Trail. They didn't have a long trail and short trail. They just had one trail, from my understanding. It was like a 58K, so it was kind of like in between. But she won that trail championship again last year for Euros. And then, top fives at OCC, Templier, sixth at Marathon of Mont Blanc. But I think this is really where, and especially with like how much focus these like French guys are giving the trail, like I was curious because I noticed that some of the French team was racing ETC, but I think their team policy says 30 days before, and I was double checking, and ETC was like the 26th of August, and I think the short trail or uphill was like the 27th, 28th, so it was like just outside of that 30 days. Because that's why we mostly didn't see French people race in any of the UTMB events, but ETC I think was just outside that window, so we did see some of the French team race that. But you got to think that like the French government prioritizes it, the French team prioritizes it. I think a lot of these French racers are going to be really ready to go, and I think Clementine like targets races really, really well. So it's gonna be hard to bet against her, but it's also like this field is freaking stacked.
It's so crazy. It's nuts to see between the French, the Swiss, and the Spanish. And the fact that we're sending a world champion on the American end over, I still don't see how the Americans fit in this race. Like there's so much experience and so much depth, and like it's kind of crazy. Like we're sending a Grand Teton record holder, we're sending a world champ, we're sending so much depth. But I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks on this. One quick side quest I do have for you. What did you think of ETC? This race kind of really stuck on the radar for me this year, especially after talking to Remy LaRue and seeing how competitive it was. Like this to me seems like a new event on the short trail side that I think really is worthy of coverage in 2026. That just kind of blew my mind. And like Dan Kurtz was there, there was quite a showing from the Brooks team, but just in general, the depth was extremely deep on this. Yeah,
totally agree. I'm pulling up the results as we do this right now. I think ETC historically, just because it's not technically one of the majors, and because from my understanding, there's no prize money for it.
I don't even think so. No.
But I think that it's just getting bigger and bigger, and I think that I wouldn't be surprised if that changes next year, given how popular. I think UTMB would be really wise to put prize money up with it and kind of go to bat against the Golden Trail Series. Not that they need a whole series, but just like with how popular Golden Trail Series is, they already kind of had their YCC for the youth, but this is like kind of a perfect feeder. Like, hey, you're not ready for OCC, but maybe you just don't want to step up to ultra stuff yet. Yeah, I totally agree. Looking at the top 10 list, we're going to see a lot of these same guys this weekend. So Alain Santamaria Blanco, Spain guy, he's going to be racing, I want to say, uphill and classic. Cesare Maestri from Italy, he's going to be racing at least one or two of those events. We just talked about him. Alberto Vender, I'm pretty sure he's racing as well on the Spain side. Italy, excuse me. And then Remy LaRue, Finlay Grant is going to be for the UK. You mentioned Dan Kurtz. Yeah, so just lots of really, really good dudes. Quentin Mailou, he's on the French team. So yeah, I do agree. It's kind of becoming, I actually was looking pretty heavily at those results for kind of getting ideas of who to watch and who's fit. On the women's side, Madalena Florio won, but then Maria Fuentes, she's Spanish. I think she's racing the short trail, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. But she seems to be a little bit better in the VK and shorter stuff. Naomi Lang in third place. We talked about her. Julia Lalong in fourth. Marie Neve, also Anna Hofer for Italy, and then Jess Brazo and Martina Cumerlado. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's going to become more and more like an indicator for who's fit. I think it's going to become like another Golden Trail race, honestly. So,
yeah.
But also if you're like Hoka, you're more likely to race it because we don't see a lot of Hoka athletes in Golden Trail stuff. So this will be kind of like the shorter, speedier people. So.
Notable absence, Elise Ponchat. I don't know what's up with that. She's very popular on the world scene too, like has raced in previous iterations and was at the championship last year. So I wonder if she's injured or just has different goals this year, but she's definitely absent from the start line.
Yeah, so it looks like she raced, looking at her UTMB, she did race the qualifier for the VK for France, but it has her as DNF. So yeah, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
I think did she eyeball? Is she the one? She just took the Mont Blanc or the, didn't she just take the Mont Blanc KT
back in May
on skis? Yeah, in that week where it got broke like 3 times. Yeah. Super capable mountain athlete. I imagine she did try to qualify.
Mainstay on the Golden Trail Series for years.
So, yeah, and just a really good storyteller. I think she's with Arc'teryx now too, which is cool. There's a good newsletter called Mile and Stone that's like a French newsletter, but they put it out in English too, and it talked pretty in depth about like selecting the French trail team, and most of them were qualifiers with the exception of a handful. Like Clementine didn't have to qualify because she was a reigning world champion, and I think there was like 1 or 2 others that didn't have to race in, but for the most part, it was mainly qualification. Benjamin Rubel didn't have to qualify for the long trail because he was also reigning world champion. So, but most of them had to race in, and most of those races were really competitive, and that was like a good place to look for who. For me, that's what I was looking at for who's going to do well. Because, like I said, we had Italians there, we had Kenyans there, so it was like a really, really deep kind of tune-up race leading up to Worlds. So,
I love it. All right, man. You want to get into picks?
Sure.
You got anything to hit before we get into picks?
I think that's everything. I'm really excited for the short trail on both the men's and women's, and it's possible that, I watch a lot of Golden Trail and also some ultra stuff. But this, like from a fan perspective, I think most of the well-known athletes out of the 3 we talked about today are going to be in that short trail. But I'm equally excited for all the races, but this one just really is like, I'm really curious to see how it goes. So
I love it. All right. I'm going to let you take it away. So let's start with the women's vertical.
Okay.
So we're going to do this in a couple different ways. So women's vertical, we'll do the individual. Give me your top 3, and then give me your top 3 teams.
Okay. Vertical, women's vertical, individual, top 3 and top 3 teams. Okay. So for the vertical, 1 second, I'm going to pull up. I have my teams listed right away, so I might do that, and then I'll pull up the runners. For my team picks in the vertical, I'll go 3 through 1. Actually, I'll go 1 through 3. So I think for gold, I think I've got Great Britain in gold. Between Scout, Adkin, who else did I have? 1 second. Let me pull up the uphill chance. Let me go female. Between... I don't know what else I had. Am I looking at the right race? 1 second. Let me double check. Yeah, uphill. I think I had, so Great Britain in gold. Second place I had Germany, and third place I was between Kenya and France. Scout Atkin I think is going to do really, really well here. And then there was a handful of others. I don't remember why I picked some of them though. Kenya for sure, between Phalaris is going to be getting points. And then I think also, who else did I have? Yeah, I'm trying to think, but Great Britain, Germany, and Kenya is kind of who I had, and I guess Great Britain kind of on the back of Scout Adkin. Germany, I think Laura Hottenrott and Nina Engelhardt will do really well, and then between Kenya and France, I think honestly I might lean towards France because a lot of these VK specialists between Christelle DeWall, Marie Neve, and there's one other one that I'm not seeing, but. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. If I had to go to individual top 3, sorry, I got a little, I was like, why did I say that? But individual top 3, I would probably have to have Nina. I think I'm leaning hard towards Nina coming off of Eurotramp, so I'd have her probably with the gold. And then I think that I would have Scout in second. And then I would probably have Nelly Clement is who I was looking for on the French side, and that's why I think France will be in third. I think she'll be in third. So I'd probably go Nina, and then Scout, and then Nelly, Clement. So what about you? What were you thinking, and who are you looking out for in this race?
Oof. This is tough. So I'm going to say it's hard for me to go 1 through 3. I do say for team wise, I'm going to go Kenya 1 because of Flores. I think Flores is going to get up there. Saying it's hard to say, but the Kenyans are so dirty. Like, they're so good. So it's very hard to go against them team wise. In second place for team wise, I'm going to go Great Britain because I do think Scout is definitely going to get up there. In third place is kind of a wild card. I'm going to go Canada. I think Emeka Clark and Jade Belsberg, I think Emeka Clark will probably shock people. I think she's had good results at like Golden Trail level races. So she's got wheels. I think there's a lot of question marks as far as her in a VK. Let's see what happens. And Jade Belsberg is just always very consistent. So I'd like to see that. And then on the women's vertical, I'm throwing some wild ones out here. I'm going to go Anna Gibson first place.
Cool. I'm not opposed. I think she has a very good chance of medaling, honestly.
Second place, I'm going to go Flores Kasang, and then I'm going to go third place Scout Atkin. I think my podium is very safe with the exception of Anna, just because I really think Anna has the ability to medal. I don't know where we're at yet. Like, I look at Anna as such a good uphill athlete. She's also really talented on the up down and the mountain classic. So who's to say that couldn't happen? So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I don't know. Like, this is my Americanism speaking, but obviously home cooking and there's always bias there. But at the same time, I'm just like, I said this earlier in the podcast, like, I don't think we really know how good Anna is yet. I think there's a lot of potential there for her now and in the future to be one of the greatest American mountain runners of all time. So
I don't think Anna is like a crazy. I think she very likely will go top 5 and probably will medal. I regret not making my picks before I came to sit down and record with you because I think Flores is a very strong pick and I think she will definitely be top 5. And last thing I would add, I think Laura Hottenrott will very likely go top 5. I think this course favors somebody like her. She's got a 2:24 marathon. She was 4th in last Worlds. And so, I do think, and then, I think just with the French team targeting it between Christelle DeWaal, Marie Neve, and Nelly, who I keep forgetting her name, I think that they'll probably have 3 in the top 15, so they'll have a pretty good team result. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. So do you want to go to the men's side next?
Let's go men's side. I'll let you go first for team.
Okay. And one other thing with the women too, it's tougher to find the world athletics results for the female Ugandan runners, but Uganda is sending a full team. So we could very well have they have 5 Ugandan females running.
They do.
We could easily see them in the medal count. And I would not be surprised at all. For the men's picks, so for team picks, I've got Kenya with the gold. I've got Uganda with silver, and then I've got Italy with bronze, and that's kind of what I touched on earlier. I think Italians do very well in the VK. I don't think we'll see necessarily medaling, but I think that we'll see a lot of 5 through 15 or 5 through 20, and that's kind of the name of the game. You want 3 runners up there in the top 20. With the men, okay, let me see. Yeah, top 3. I still got to go Patrick for the gold. I think a 3-peat is very likely, and I think until we see somebody beat him, it's kind of like killing at Sears and all or something. It's like until I see somebody beat him, I'm not going to bet against him. So Patrick with the gold is going to be my pick, and then I think I want to go. Let's see, do we have? I think I want to go. I'm going to go on a limb. I think there's going to be a Ugandan somewhere in the top 3. I'll go with the guy, Samuel Simba Cherop, the one with the 13:29 5K and 28-minute 10K. Only 19 years old, but I think that we saw a lot of Ugandans in the top 10 last time, so I think he could be up there. Third place, I think I want to go with Lucas Erle. I think he's definitely going to be somewhere in the top 10. I could see him as high as top 5. But I'm also really curious. I think Remy could be up there too, but I'm hesitant with him coming back from injury. So I'll go Patrick, Samuel Simba Cherop, and then Lucas Erle.
So I like these. These are getting good. All right. So for my teams, I'm going to go first place Kenya as well. I think Patrick locks it down. I do think Patrick is a 3-time champion. I just don't see anyone. I don't see anyone eclipsing him in this race, but what do I know? In second place for team-wise, all right, so think about it this way. For scoring, I'm going to go Team USA.
Okay.
And so hear me out, all right? If we get somebody like Christian on the podium or top 4, you've got a lot of good anchor guys. Like, I think top 15, it's very possible to get someone like Joe and Tyler in there. And we don't really know where Cam's strength is uphill running and has a ton of experience. Don't be surprised to see Cam in the top, like out of the top 20. Like, I do think there's a strong possibility that we could have either no one on the podium or one guy on the podium and still get in that second or third spot. Would not be surprised there. Yeah,
I think to piggyback, I think we haven't talked about Tyler nearly enough, so we're going to get some credit. I did hear your interview with him. He's a really likable guy. He's really impressive. He's kind of up there, with the Joe Gray and the Max, where he's still running like a sub 14-minute 5K, and he's in his early 40s. Like, that's really nuts. And also just hearing him and kind of seeing how he's raced the past couple of years, if this is more runnable like we think it is, then I think this more favors him. If it's more of like the hiking and like more technical, or like the parts of Sunapee, what's the one really crappy part that I like that just is like
the
hands on knees, hands on knees hiking uphill. Like, if it's something like that, I don't think he's talked about, because even when he made the world's team last year and raced in Italy, he talked about how like that's not his cup of tea, where it was like steep running on slick stairs or whatever. But I think that if it is more runnable, his leg speed is really, really awesome, and he is a really experienced racer. So I think we kind of need to give him some credit. And I totally agree that I think he would be getting the points along with Christian, assuming Christian has a good day, and then Joe Gray just being like a staple. So I don't disagree with that at all.
And like I said, I love Cam. Cam's probably one of my favorite people in the sport and has become a friend. I just don't know where he mixes into it.
I think he looks better for the up down than he does for the VK, and with the way the race currently is. But he has seemed the fastest. I didn't look at his rut 28K compared to past years, but he does seem like he's the most fit he's been out of the past 3 years, and we know he's always very good at climbing. So
yeah, and I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, and he did torch the VK, man. I mean, I don't know. All right, so back to selections. I'm going to go first, Patrick. I just think Patrick's going to be really hard to beat. I don't know. I never really pick Remy in races, but like with Remy back and doing this first Worlds, he is one of the best uphillers on the planet, or at least was. 2023 Pikes Peak Marathon champion. We don't know where he's at coming back from, from injury. We'll see. So I'm just going to throw Remy in there a second.
I think Remy's a great pick. We talked offline. Like, he does this one race every year in Switzerland called Nerevu Molisen, and I'm sure I'm butchering that. But basically, that's the one where I think the highest scoring ITRA index ever is him winning that the same year he broke the Pikes Peak ascent record. Yeah. And this year he was only usually it's like a 56-minute race, or I think his course record's like 55 high. And he was only about like 20 seconds off that this year. So, and he does that race like every year. So it's a pretty good fitness test. And that was like pre-injury or whatever, but I got to believe that. And he only had a absolutely dominant schemo year as well. So I think I think that's an awesome pick. So,
and then in third, if we do have a chance of getting on the podium, I think it's going to be Christian. Like, I think if Christian has a performance like he did at Broken Arrow, I think there's strong opportunities there to get third. I don't know. It depends on what type of Christian shows up. I did talk to him the other day, and he seems very, he's over there with his family. He seems extremely motivated. I don't think there's a lot of pressure to perform here, but I think it would be tremendous for his. I just think it would be tremendous for his resume.
Yeah, and we've seen him do well at WMRA type stuff, like he did. I want to say he got second. Yeah, he's done well at this type of race before, in racing internationally. So I definitely think he could do super well. So,
all right, let's go Mountain Classic. I'll let you take it away with teams.
Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Short Trail Classic. Okay, here we go. So team wise, do we want to go men or women first?
Let's go women first.
Okay. Women's team picks. I've got gold Kenya, silver USA, and bronze France. With Kenya, between Joyce, Valentine Rudo, and Gloria Chibet, I think all of them will be point getters, and I think I probably see all three of them in the top 10. Up in the air of Joyce. Joyce has kind of been up and down this year. I could see her winning gold. I could also see her getting 10th, but I think all three of them will medal. USA, like you said, I think, and we talked about that with the intra index, I think that it shows, and I think this team feels like the best female out of the 3 that we've talked about so far. So I think between I think that both Anna and Lauren Gregory are going to do really, really well here. And Lauren Gregory has world's experience. And then Allie Mack obviously has tons of experience. We haven't seen her race as much as she had in the past this year, but I think all 3 of them will race super well. And I think even if Allie Mack doesn't have a good day, I think Courtney Coppinger picks up the slack and goes top 15. She's looked really, really good at Golden Trail Series, and she's been a really consistent racer. So, yep. And then bronze, France. Between Christelle DeWall, Nellie Clement, who we've talked about multiple times in the different events, and then also Julie Lalong and Marina Vey. So they kind of have like an extra woman could have a bad day, and as long as 3 of them are good, they're good to go. And I put a question mark next to Ugandan women because they are also sending a full team there from what I can tell. But like I said, their world athletics indexes are a little bit harder to research. And they published their team, but they didn't publish their team results. Like Kenya for their qualifying race, I could see who did what. And that also kind of influenced my picks. Uganda didn't. So I think they're a big wild card as well. Top 3 individually. This is where I should have made my picks before. Anything I say, I'm liable to change, and I will change my fantasy free trail like 45 times. But off the top of my head, just looking at this list, I think, let me see. I'm definitely going to have at least. All right. I think I'll probably go Scout Adkin in first. I think she actually is probably better at the up-down stuff than she is just at the VK. And then I think I'll go Valentine Rudo, coming off of 4th place in her last race. And let's see. Well, actually, no, I'll go Scout Adkin first. I'll go Nellie Clement from France in second, and then I'll go Valentine Rudo in third. Nellie Clement really impressed me because French up-down champions, she won overall, and she beat a field that included Joyce, Gloria, and Scout Adkin, all of who are running this race and who are, in my opinion, going to be in the top 10, if not the top 5 spots. So I think that she'll be kind of like that sleeper pick. And am I missing... Oh, Nina Engelhard. Oh, dang, I'm missing Nina Engelhard. I might swap out Gloria Chibet for Nina Engelhard. So I'll go Scout first, Nelly second, and Nina third. So, yeah.
Damn, this is close. This is tight, man.
I feel bad not having a Kenyan runner in my top 3 because I think there will be one, but I think there are some really, really good up-down Europeans. So,
and it's hard to bet against Valentine, was 4th in 2023.
Yeah, she was 4th, and then she really likes the 3rd and 4th places, so that's why I was kind of on the fence. I had her in 3rd, and I was like, I think she'll probably go 3rd or 4th. Like, she has a ton of 3rds. 3rd at Golden Trail Series Noli, 3rd at Trofeo Nosego, 3rd at the WMRA in China this year, 3rd at the French Up-Down, and then a win at Giro de Mont. So
I'm going to go teams. I'm going USA Gold. I think this is, if we're going to do it, this is the opportunity to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Second, I'm going to go France. Third, I'm going to go Kenya. I do have Valentine Rudo in that first spot, and I have Anna Gibson and Lauren Gregory working together in second and third.
Nice.
So
I honestly think Lauren could do really well here, and I think Anna. I don't know. I guess I need to be more gutsy and put my money where my mouth is, but I really do think Anna could medal here. So
yeah, it's interesting to me. Like, I think in one of the races, Anna's going to get a medal. I really do. I just don't know. I think the Mountain Classic might be more. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Like, she almost caught Michelino at Rendezvous, dude. Like, she's so fast and so good on the uphill now. It's kind of crazy. So I don't know.
I think I had PTSD from 2023 Worlds when I had really high hopes and put up a ton of like US and then I just watched Kenya and Uganda like destroy our hopes. But to be fair, the women's race was more well-rounded, and like at the top 10, there's 3 Kenyan females in the top 10 in 2023. But I mean, we also had USA got the gold, Sweden got silver. We had Germany, Romania, Czech Republic, France, and Great Britain. So I think there is like a really good mix. So
all right, let's go to the men. I'll let you take it away.
Okay, men's for classic distance, I have Kenya getting the gold. I have Uganda getting the silver, and then I have bronze. I do have the US and bronze. And I could potentially even see them getting the silver as well. And then individual medals, I think Philemon, it is his race to lose. Like we said, he's had up down years, but I think he's really, really dialed this year, and I think he has a lot of confidence. And even his WMRA races, pretty much anything that's up down, he wins. He doesn't really win the vertical stuff, but he wins the up down. And then I think I'll probably go with, let me see, fifth, Gregor Stella race, strong pick. Okay. I can't decide. There's definitely going to be two Kenyans in my top three, and I'm trying to decide between Michael Solelo and Paul Machoka for the next spot. I think that I'll probably go with Paul Machoka because he is the top-ranked runner per WMRA standings. He's got lots of good results, and he does really, really good in up-down races, so I think I'll probably go him in second. And then I think Lucas Early from Germany in third. Him and Nina Engelhardt, I'm really, really impressed with their Euro results last year. And Nina doesn't race as much, but Lucas has raced a lot of races with Kenyan guys at like WMRA events. He did one in China, and he still beat out a lot of guys. So I think he can hang with a lot of these East Africans and can do really well. So I'll go Philemon in first, Paul Machoka in second, and Lucas Early in third. What are you thinking?
I definitely have Paul Machoka in there. I have USA. I gotta say, like, I think this is the same thing. If we, like, just as it was for the Mountain Classic for the women, it's the same thing for the men. Like, if there's going to be a men's team that's going to perform really well here, like, this has got to be the one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like kind of waffling back and forth between Kenya and USA. I have Italy or Germany kind of in that third spot from a team perspective. Somewhere it's got to be USA or Kenya. Maybe leaning more towards USA, but it's hard to say.
You said Italy you're considering too?
What was that?
Did you say you were considering Italy for a spot as well?
Yeah, Lucas Earl. I don't know, man. So I do have Taylor. So this is the only one I didn't pick a podium for, and just because I'm like so on the fence. So my problem with Philemon is that I've seen him beaten. Like, I've watched it, and I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, it's. I do think Taylor Stack has not had the race that, like, he's had some amazing races, but I don't think he's had the one yet. This could be it. I've watched David Norris beat Philemon, so I could definitely see that happening as well. Like, I think there's a lot of people in a mountain classic race. So I don't know. I mean, those are all people I could see on the podium. I'm going to defer, and that's what I've got. I do have United States Scaffold getting a medal. I just don't know how it falls into place. Like, I could see this being a gold, or I could see it being a silver. I think anything less than that would be possibly a disappointment for the talent level of this team. So
yeah. I also think that Italy could be. They had two in the top 10 last year, both of which are returning: Cesare Maestri and Xavier Chevre, and then another guy, Isaac Costa, beat Cesare Maestri in the up-down champion. So I think all three of those guys could go top 15, and that could also be a potential team medal as well, because they like these type of classic trail races. So
it's so hard to tell. I mean, this is my distance, and I just can't. It's hard to pick, man.
It is. Well, the margins are so thin. Like in ultra, if it's like a 1 minute race, it's close, or CCC being 20 seconds apart. But if I'm looking at the top 10 from last year, it's like 8 seconds between first and second, 5 seconds between second and third. And then I guess there's almost a minute, and then 1 second between, fourth and fifth. Like, the margin for error is very, very thin. And so if somebody has a bad day and is just a little bit off, it's like,
I have a question. Has Paul Machoka raced Philemon head to head this year?
I imagine they have had to. Let me see.
Because I'd be more inclined to possibly pick Paul Machoka. I don't know why I'm shitting on Philemon, but like, I've just seen him lose before, and I'm just like, it's hard to say.
I think they probably have. I want to say Paul ran the top 5 at Sierras and all and lost there. And let me just double check, because I didn't write down as many of his results. But I'm 95% sure that he raced Sierras and all. Let's see. Yeah, he did race Sierras and all. He got 5th. Girodemont, Philemon didn't race. And then he raced the up-down French championships, got 6th. Yeah, I think Sierras and all might be the main place that they raced this year. He raced Golfo della Sola and got 3rd, which Philemon won that, I'm pretty sure. And then Trofeo Nisego, I'm not sure if Philemon raced. Let me double check. He raced they both raced Trofeo Nisego, which is a really competitive Italian race, and Filman won that. So he's beat him head to head every time this year, from what I can tell. So
all right, maybe Filmon it is then.
Like I said, Filmon is like winning.
Running much better this
year.
He
had so many second places last year, and I was like, he's just got to get one win, and then he's like, hey, I'm back on it. And he legit didn't have a win last year, even though he had 2 Golden Trail Series where he's within 2 seconds of. But so far this year, I'm looking at win at Sierras and all, second at the French Up Down Champs, and then he's just won a lot more. So Trofeo Nisego, Golfo de Sola. So he's got 3 or 4 wins under his belt. So,
all right, let's pivot to women's short trail.
Okay.
I'll let you take it away.
All right, women's short trail. Let me get it pulled up real quick. All right, short trail. Women's side. On the team results, I've got, and this was tough, but it's definitely going to be some order of these top 3. I've got Spain and gold position, Spain. Silver, I've got France, and bronze, I've got Switzerland. I can almost guarantee it's going to be those top 3, or like it's going to be those 3, but I just don't know in what order. And it just blows my mind. Like Spain has legit like 6 or 7 women that, so basically they have tons of wiggle room. If like, even if Sarah Alonso or Madeline Osa has a bad day, it's like you still have, Patricia Pineda, Marta Martinez at the bottom of the list, because I think they misspelled her name, is Oyhana Cortazar, who's also, she was top 10 returning world. So they just have a ton of people where like if multiple of them have a bad day, they're still in really, really good shape. But then likewise, France has an insanely deep field. Switzerland has a little bit less wiggle room, but they're some of the most consistent racers. Judith Weider never misses. Yep. Maud doesn't really miss, and I think with racing, now that she's back to her health, I don't think she will. And then Therese Leboeuf, like you said, like she's like one of the most consistent racers. So I think that those 3 were definitely going to score well. But Switzerland just doesn't have as much wiggle room if one of them doesn't. And then if they had that Oriya Liachi female racing also as well, I'd be like, that actually, I could see them going even higher, because she did super well at Sierras and is really fast. And then, on the French side, like returning world champion, Lucille Germain has been knocking it out of the park with skyrunning races this year. So I think she's super good. And then Adeline Martin, not as well known, but she got 3rd at Eurochamps short trail last year. I think she also has a win in Worlds in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, or at least a silver medal. She medaled somewhere there. And then she just is really consistent. I didn't know about her until I think the last Worlds. She raced her the Eurochamps 1 and 2. And then Spain also left out Ikram Marsala too. They just have so many people that are going to that can race really well. Individual medalist wise though,
this one's so hard.
Yeah, this one's gonna be really hard, and this is where I should have made my picks before. I know I know I'm gonna have Judith somewhere in the top 3, so I'm just gonna think out loud real quick. Judith for sure in the top 3. One person we didn't even talk about was Caroline Kemutai for Kenya.
Yes, another one.
I'm a little hesitant because this is gonna be her longest race. It's gonna be 2 hours longer than her longest race, which was Rastanica, and it took about 3 hours and 15 minutes. You got to think these women are probably gonna come around 5-ish hours, if I had to guess. So that's my only question with it being super technical. I could be totally wrong. I thought, she's done really well in every race she's done so far. But Judith, who else do I want? I feel like Clementine's got to be up there. And let me get a Spaniard. Let's go Sarah Alonso. So, let's get some home field advantage.
What about Clementine? You don't have Clementine in there?
Yeah, no, I have Clementine. Clementine. I think so. In order, I think I'll still go Clementine to defend Judith, and then Sarah would probably be how I'd want to go. I think Judith is I don't know. I think she's a better racer than Clementine, but I think with Judith having just raced OCC and Clementine being fresh, and she also just targets these type of events really well. I feel like, heck, she's the defending champ, so it's hers to lose. So I'll go Clementine, Judith, and Sarah Alonso. I think Maud's also paused for a really, really good day, and I think she's going to be up there somewhere. So what are you thinking?
Oh my God. Pretty much the same exact thing you have. So women's team, I've got just in a different order. I've got Switzerland getting the gold.
Nice.
I've got Spain in 2nd, France in 3rd. And then for the individual women, I've got Clementine Joffrey taking the dub again. Sarah Alonso in 2nd, Judith Weider in 3rd.
Clementine, Sarah. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah,
exactly
it's pretty much the same exact
a little
thing.
different order. I totally agree with your Switzerland pick, but I'm like hedging my bets because I'm like,
I think
if
you're right.
one of them
Yeah.
does, like, we don't really see Judith or Maud have a bad day. And Therese really honestly is super. Well, we've seen Maud with her injury stuff, but it feels like it's a new Maud. But yeah, I mean, I could easily see Judith and Maud both in the top 5, and then Therese like 7 through 10, and it's like it's gonna be pretty hard to beat a team like that. So
What do you think? Where do you think Team USA falls into this one for the short trail women? Because remember, we do have Grayson in the mix. Has Grayson like improved enough to prove or show, you know, in the mix with these women? Because she's so good, and I feel like we have her almost as an afterthought.
yeah, so talking about U.S. women, yeah, we've been slacking on some. You mentioned, so we've already mentioned Jane, who we're excited to see, and her Grand Teton time was amazing. Ruby, who's been getting better and better every year. I first met her at Run the Rut, super nice, from Alaska, super cool person.
Yeah.
And then Lindsay Allison as well. We haven't even mentioned all podcasts, and she's been getting better every race that she's done so far this year. And then, like you said, Grayson, and then also we've left out Tabor Hemming.
Yeah.
Tabor has had a bit of an up and down year. I was really impressed, and I think if she, I mean, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but like it could have easily been a Hemming sweep at OCC last year. She led through like 20 miles, and then I don't remember what ended up being the issue.
She broke a bone. I think she's something.
I think her
something
breathing locked up or something. Something caused her not to finish. But Tabor's definitely just as talented as anyone in this field. So I'm really curious to see if she can get a bounce back race. Because she also, did she DNF CCC? Did she race CCC this year? I can't remember. I thought I saw her in the start list. I think she started CCC.
Yeah, that she didn't finish.
But I don't
Yeah.
think she finished.
I
So
think she did. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, you're totally right. I think Grayson, I very likely can see her going top 5 and potentially even getting a medal, because I do like that she's gotten better at every race. And I know she has some stomach issues. Is it IBS or colitis? One of the two, something along those lines. But it seems like she's really learning how to deal with it, because I would be more nervous about that kind of stuff in ultra than I would in the typical races that she used to do with the up down. But it seems like, you know, she's only gotten better with every ultra. So yeah, I could very well see Grayson in the top 5. And then Tabor on a good day could definitely go top 10. And I'm excited to see where Jane races as well. She just doesn't have a lot of like deep race experience, but she's very talented. So
Yeah.
I was really excited about the Grand Teton FKT too. Like the Grand is just like, it's so iconic. It's so pretty. The Tetons are like, that's why I moved out west. Like, it's just one of the most beautiful mountain ranges in the world, in my opinion. So yeah. So, it will be very interesting to see. And I honestly think Tove Alexanderson is like a big sleeper question mark.
Yeah, Tove.
Even though it's weird, it feels weird calling her a sleeper when she's the second highest on the fantasy free trail picks with regards to UTMB index. But it's like, I forgot who she was for a second. And then when I looked her up, I was like, oh yeah, it's this chick that like when she raced Golden Trail Series, like she just left it out, kind of like Allie Mack or Zach Miller. Like she just goes and
Aggressive.
she goes hard, and it's either gonna, you know, she's gonna blow everyone out of the water or she's gonna blow herself up. And she ended that Golden Trail Series with like blood on her knees, mud on her face. Like she just looks like a Tough Mudder poster or something like that. So.
All right, let's go, man. Let's wrap this up with the short trail. I'll let you take it away with teams and then individual.
Yes. Teams, it's tough to bet against the 3 biggest mountain racing countries, and definitely Europe, if not like the world. I've got gold, Italy, silver, Spain, and bronze will be France. And Italy just has, if I'm looking at Italy's team, Luca Del Pero, let's see who else, Davide Magnini, assuming he starts, Daniel Pattis, Lorenzo Beltrami, and I feel like there was even one more that I didn't have written down, but they have like 60. Yeah, they had another link, Lorenzo Roto. So they basically have they have a lot of room, and I think that it's pretty hard. Like Luca's for sure going to be in the top 10. I think that Davide, if he races, he's going to be in the top 10.
Yep.
Daniel is insanely talented. He's also going to be top 10. He's kind of like Roberto Di Lorenzi in that way, where he's just like steady chugging. His third place consistent. At Zagama was awesome this year. And he just missed out. Yeah, he was top 3 at Zagama. And then Lorenzo Beltrami has been kind of up and coming Skyrunner, 5th at Zagama, kind of a breakout, but he also has a lot of top 5s at Skyrunning World Series races, and he also had a 4th in the Valderan 50K, which was the UTMB major for the UTMB 50K, or like for the Euro, like their equivalent of canyons basically. Yeah, so I think that they're super deep. And then with regards to Spain, I could easily see Spain taking the gold too. Home field advantage. We talked about Manu Marias. We talked about Antonio Martinez Perez. We talked about Andrew Blanes. And then, and so they're looking really good. And then for France, France is like, they're, in my opinion, they're the favorite to win the overall medal again, just because they're focused so much on it. But I'm hoping that, the US can change that, or I don't know, somebody else, but like they're definitely putting all their eggs in this basket. So France between Thomas Cardin, who else do we have? Yeah, Thomas Cardin, and then Fred Tranchard is definitely going to be top 10 somewhere. And then Sylvain Cachard could definitely have a really good day out there as well. So individual medals, this is definitely going to get exciting. And this is tough because it's like, who do I want to go? All right, I think if I had to go gold, this is tough because Stian used to be like the automatic pick, and it's not that case anymore. But that's good because it means Troening's more competitive and exciting. So I think I'm gonna go 3-1. I'm gonna go Luca Del Perro in third. I definitely think he's in a lock for the top 10, probably a lock for the top 5, and I think he's just getting better every race this year. So I'll go Luca in third, Luca Del Perro, and then I think I'll go David Sinclair in second. I think he's going to be the one who recovers better from CCC. His training still looks insane. I'm hoping that he's not overcooking it, but he's like throwing down some really good times in some New England routes and going and taking some like run the white segment challenges and stuff. So I'll go David for silver, another second place in a big race for him. And the gold is really hard because I'm like, if Davide races, I think he can win it, but I don't know that he's going to race. My heart wants me to cheer for Manu because I really, really love Manu. And then, but I think that I might go with Thomas Cardin from France. He's not really as well known from the US audiences, but he's won a lot of the big French races, including Templier and A6, which is like, those are two like 50-mile-ish races. He was the European short trail champion last year with that like 58K with like 4,000 meters of vert. This year he's got a 6 at Zagama, which was impressive because when I watched the race, he came out really hard and I thought he blew up, but he actually just kind of backed off and then ran his own race, which was really mature. This year, he also got a 3rd at Marathon de Mont Blanc behind Davide Magnini. The only question mark I have is I don't know that he's as good on the technical stuff as somebody like Manu. So that would make me want to pick Manu, but I'll pick Thomas Cardin for first. So
I like that. I like it. All right. I'm going to go Spain in first for men, or for the team, sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to go Italy in second. And third, I'm going to go USA. It's hard for me to not, I don't know, dude. I want to go USA over France just because if we are bringing heavy hitters, think about it. I mean, between David Sinclair, Eli, Noah Williams, Michelino Sinceri, and Michelino has yet to figure out a race this year, but has figured out what the problem is.
Okay,
so
good.
If we get a prime Michelino, that's like Broken Arrow level or like Speed Goat champion level Michelino, or let's say Grand FKT holder Michelino, like, yeah, that's no joke. I think he can mix it up with the Europeans. And then you get Max, who's got, obviously going to pull, like I don't want to say an anchor, but like definitely going to score.
I think I think he's going to be in the top 3. Yeah. And I don't even think did we say Seth Ruling saying?
And then we got your boy. Yeah. We got Seth Ruling, who, is another Broken Arrow 46K champion. I don't know.
That's what I said. He's won Run the Rut and he's run Broken Arrow. So like, we don't think of him because his most recent race results aren't technical, but like, yeah. I mean, Run the Rut is like the closest sky race that we have in the States. And then he's won Broken Arrow. He's a big question mark for me because I think he could do really good. But he's kind of had a mixed bag of results. Like CCC had 5th or 6th, and then he also had a DNF.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm excited to see him race. Max King, I think, could kill it. Noah Williams, I'm excited to see race as well. I think he could be kind of a sleeper pick. And then, yeah, you're right. Michelino, I mean, he's won Run the Rut. Did he take Sinclair's course record at Run the Rut? If not, he's very close to it.
Yeah, I think he actually does have it. Yeah, he broke it last year.
One Speed Go. He's definitely gone top 3 multiple times at Speed Go.
No, he's won. That's what got him on the map, was a Speed Goat win. He's actually won it.
And he's won Broken Arrow as well. So he's kind of like David Sinclair, and then he's won them all. And then David's just been a little bit more recently winning them and setting course records on them. So it's like, Yeah, dude, he definitely.
This could be an amazing team. Could be. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I hope he knocks it out. He's kind of had a mixed bag, or like, yeah, I'm cheering for him big time. So
I'm gonna go Luca Del Perro winning.
nice. I like that.
I'm gonna go Antonio Martinez Perez
Also a
in
good pick.
second. I think dude, it just made me like really think about it, just because he's such a good technical runner, and because of this way this course runs, it's just very out there. It's very technical. It's very, I don't know. I think this is more his course than something like OCC.
Yeah.
And I think he just didn't get a chance to. I mean, dude, he's been training with Ben Demon. He's been training with like a lot of some of the new ASICS athletes. I think I don't know. I think he's definitely better on paper definitely better than what he shows on paper. And the third, I'm going to go David Sinclair. I think David Sinclair figures it out, and I think he's the one for the Americans to do it. I hope Eli's up there. I hope the Americans are up there, but I think this is a meddling team. I just don't know where it falls.
Yeah. I think Antonio is a really good pick. Looking at the course again, like the course I'm looking at has the ups and downs and the high points, but it's not showing me how long the descent is. But there's a very long descent at the end, and I think that Antonio could easily like gobble up 3, 4, 5 spots like we've seen him do in OCC.
Yeah.
And he actually mainly trains with the Andre Blanes guy that we mentioned. And I could honestly see Andre Blanes medaling as well with his second place at Sierras and all this year, or excuse me, at Zagama. He won Sierras and all in 2023. That was really, really impressive. And he kind of raced and came out and led from the gun. And when Elzine took the lead, I was like, oh no, he's cooked. He's gonna fade. And he just like stuck it. He was like bloody at the end of it. But in a technical race like Zagama, and he's been getting a lot of training out here with Antonio. I wouldn't be surprised, to see either of them in the top 5, because they're both really talented. So I like Antonio. He's one of those Scarpa sky runners. Yeah. Not Italian, but Spaniard. But between Spain and like Italy, there's so many good like sky runners that are sponsored by Scarpa or have been sponsored by Scarpa at some point. So yeah. I
love it. All right, that's our picks. Dude, this was the first 2-hour episode I've done in forever.
I didn't even know it was 2 hours.
It just flew by. So do you have any ending thoughts?
No, my ending thought is, do you know if this is available to watch, or like I haven't?
It's going to be on. Yeah, it's going to be live. Don't know what channels it's going to be on or the ability to get it. I don't know. I can add it to the show notes after.
Yeah, I think my ending thoughts is like, I know I watched the 2023 Worlds, and that was like pretty early in my fandom, and the vibes were like really, really awesome from 2023 Worlds. The media coverage was really good, so I'm just like really, really excited to see how they cover it this year and kind of how they bring like a Spanish flair to it. Because I thought the one in Innsbruck looked really, really awesome, and I remember just like being excited for the content, and then really enjoying the content that came out all week. So yeah, I'll be super excited to watch, and yeah, I mean, I'll be rooting for the USA. I know I didn't pick them as much as people probably expect me to,
no, I'm kidding.
Like, no, I'm very much like, I want the USA to do super well, but I also try to be nuanced with like, I'm a big fan of trail running in general, and like Europe's kind of the home to a lot of this sky running, especially like a Worlds that's this technical. It's like, this is really what a lot of, and any given weekend in Italy, Spain, or France, you can go and there's a VK or an up-down race. And so for every race that we've heard of, there's like 25 that we haven't heard of. And that's cool. That's a cool problem to have. So
no, I love it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I think I don't know. I'm very 50-50. 50% of me really wants to show that like the athletes have said, like a lot of my friends and peers have like put out there, it's like, we want to show that like that American trail running is on the map now, and it's like here to stay. But also it's like, you also want to show respect to the guys and gals that have been winning this in the last few years. And
yeah,
it's definitely the Euros. So, I think the Americans have a lot to prove, and rightfully so, Yeah.
And the analog kind of feels like, I mean, I've only recently become a track and field fan, but America is very good at stuff that we have not been very good at in a long time, specifically the 1500 and the 5000. And we just had, Cole Hawker go and win the 5000 meter. And we haven't had a US men win since 2007 in the 5000 meter. And it's like, not only do we have like the chance to win it, but we have like 3 different guys that could go out there plausibly and win it. And so, yeah, I think it kind of feels that same way in the US scene. I think like, we have certain teams that look really good, and this men's short trail is one of them, and the women's classic is one of them. But yeah, like I would love to see us win the overall competition. And it's cool just to see these young people, like your, Sydney Petersons or Taylor Stacks, or that are just coming out of college. I say just, I mean, they've been out for a couple of years, but it's like to get people excited about the sport is when they're maybe burnt out on running collegiately or running around in an oval, but then they find a different way to run, and it's kind of like lights up a new fire. So yeah, I definitely agree. I think the U.S. has something to prove, and yeah, I'll be rooting for us for every event. So
it's going to be fun. No doubt about it. I mean, this is the most electric Worlds that I feel like we've had. So it's going to be pretty, and it might be, dude, I think it's a special one too. Like, who knows? This might be the last time we see Joe at one of these. I hope not.
Joe or Max. Yeah, for sure.
Or
Definitely.
Max. Yeah. And I think it's a really special time to be a fan of the sport and to be following it. And yeah, I just wish everybody the best of luck. And I hope the people listening to this, like, really take away some value for their free. When does it lock up for free trial fantasy picks?
It'll lock up when the race starts. So the closest one,
it's 25th.
Yeah, it's the 25th, which is like 2 days and 12 hours out. So make sure you get them in, and make sure you pick 10 deep too. I think it gives you some kind of notification, because I made that mistake on a couple of races last year where they're 10 deep, but I think all these Worlds ones are 10 deep. So pick as many people as it lets you pick, basically. So
yeah, hell yeah. Well, dude, do me a favor, plug your Substack again. We'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah, my Substack is Rob Runs Round, just like it sounds. So a lot of alliteration. But yeah, Rob Runs Round at Substack, and you can just follow or subscribe, and it'll send out whatever podcast, or sometimes they'll do like a little recap, like written article too, like I did one after Sierras and all. But usually I'll try to preview anything that's coming up on Free Trail. So it looks like even Free Trail has the Mammoth, the 200 miler, I think it is. So I might need to do some research and try to get something out. But typically anything that they preview, or that they do, which is about a race a week, then I'll try to do some kind of preview for it. I can't say I make every one, but I try to make most of them, and definitely for the big ones, Western, whatever, I make it. Although this year at UTMB I was a little bit bad, but that was my fault because I planned a vacation right when UTMB was happening, which was a bad idea. So yeah, Rob Runs Round on Substack, and then that's also my Instagram handle as well. So
perfect. I'll link your Instagram and everything in the show notes, so people will be able to give you a follow and follow along. Oh yeah, dude.
Nerd out
for Mammoth. Teddy Tonelli. Pick that
Teddy Tonelli. Okay.
Pick that guy. Yeah. Awesome. Rob, I appreciate it, man. Dude,
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out for a run with you. And
Yes, we need to.
this was a great one. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
That was super fun.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Really want to thank Rob so much for coming on. So much value there that he provided, and just some really good write-ups and some really good commentating and banter. Guys, if you are interested and want to learn more about Rob, you can find him and support him in 2 different ways. The first one is hop on Substack if you don't already. Give Rob a follow. You can subscribe to him at Rob Runs Round. That's at Rob Runs Round. It's going to be located in the show notes for a link that you guys can subscribe to. Like I said, he gives all kinds of really good commentary and banter, as well as race previews, just really good stuff. His 2025 OCC preview and fantasy picks is amazing. He does one on the Matterhorn Old Tracks Extreme Series and Null. He does write-ups, just all kinds of really, really good stuff there. So I think there's a ton of value for you guys, and definitely hop on over, subscribe, and give him some kudos over there. You can also find him on Instagram. Give him a follow. You can find him also at Rob Runs Round. Really appreciate that he keeps these linear, so he doesn't have to change up the names too much. Yeah, that's Rob Runs Round, and you're going to be able to find that in the show notes as well. Guys, the best way you can support the podcast, if you did enjoy this episode as well as our preview episodes that we brought you for Worlds, is to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you do consume your podcasts. That would mean the world to us. And that's how we can continue to tell the stories of these amazing athletes, and keep, getting some coverage and following along. It's all good stuff there. Last but not least, I do want to thank our brand partner, Ultimate Direction. Guys, hop on over to ultimatedirection.com as we start to close out the summer season and start to pivot towards fall, autumn, whatever you want to call it, and the winter months. You're going to need to figure out and redial in your hydration solutions. Ultimate Direction has you covered. They have insulated bottles. They have all kinds of vests. Definitely check out the new 6-liter race vest and the 12-liter ultra vest in some beautiful aesthetic colorways. If you use code SteepStuffPod, again, that's SteepStuffPod, one word, that's going to get you 25% off your cart. Like I said, don't miss out. There's all kinds of good stuff in there. They also have apparel. They have belts, all the good stuff. But like I said, with the weather changing, you definitely want to hook yourself up with some insulated bottles, as well as some new vests. Definitely go for it. And there's a quiver too. The quiver's pretty dope. I got a chance to test that thing in the early testing period, and I thought it was pretty dope as well. And lots of new belts and stuff to come. So, guys, I hope you had a great week following Worlds. Definitely tune in. Definitely be a mega fan. We love this sport so much, and I hope you guys too. So, thanks so much.